Okay, it is 1:02, August 2nd, and I'm calling to order Trophy Club Municipal Utility District Number 1. We do have a quorum. We have Director Vice President Wilson Skyping in, is that correct?
Yes.
Is someone going to connect him up, or? Okay, go ahead and connect him up. And this is a special session budget workshop. Citizens' comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the board on any matter, whether or not it is posted on the agenda. The board is not permitted to take action on or discuss any presentation made to the board at this time concerning an item not listed on the agenda. The board will hear presentations on specific agenda items prior to the board addressing those items. You may speak up to 3 minutes or the time limit determined by the president or presiding officer. Do we have any citizen comments?
No.
Okay, we're moving on. We'll move into closed session. Consider and take appropriate action regarding fiscal year 2018 draft budget. Do we need to, is it closed session? Do we need to close the doors? Why did it say closed session?
That's an error.
Okay. Correction on the closed session. This is an open session meeting to take appropriate action regarding fiscal year 2018 draft budget. Okay. The fastest way from history is to just start from page 1, go through each page. Obviously, there's tables attached that you will have to go back to when we go to each page, but I want to try and prevent from jumping all over the place. So if anyone has any problem with that, speak up now. I see none. Is everyone okay with that? Any deviations from that? Okay, that's the way we'll do it. We'll start at the general fund, and we'll go down the list, and we'll start from top to bottom. And as I said, we might jump to tables that are included, but we'll try and stay on the general fund right now. So my question is on the PID surcharges. There seems to be a pretty good increase in that. Is there explanation, or more houses, or more valuation?
There's the debt payment. Also, last year, the whole O&M tax rate items in non-departmental were not covered. This year it is, and it's a considerable amount higher. So the PID portion is higher, as the MUD's portion is too.
And the town is aware of that, since they're the ones assessing the surcharge, isn't it?
That's what we bill on the, that's what we place on the bill. That's determined in January. It's settled up every January.
Okay. Okay. Does anyone have anything else on the general fund?
Yeah, I have a question.
Mr. Hayes?
Renee, how would you describe the total revenue is $9,903,775? How would you describe how you arrived at that number? Is it
Just a trick question.
no? I mean, is it independently arrived at, or is it simply an offset to expenses?
No, well, yes. I went down each line. Of course, the tax rates, we weren't able to do that till the last minute, or the 25th, when we got the final numbers in, valuations in. But basically, a lot of formulas come into this, and we were the sewer revenue that's highlighted in yellow. That's still an estimated number. Basically, the number that Chris calculated was 2657. I changed it to the 2615 to make it balance equally, because that number's still up in the air. So.
What I was really asking is that revenue, as it progresses from one year to the next, and you look at past history, then you have to make a decision about is it going to be a wet or dry year for revenue purposes, And what is the growth rate that is going to increase from 2017 to 2018? Is that a 2% increase in revenue because of growth, or did you look at it in that
We
fashion?
used a 1% increase,
For growth?
water, yes.
Okay, 1% for increase in water. And how about as you look at 2016, 17, and 18, for example, those 3 years, if you look at 2018, in comparison to the budget and the actual so far in 2017, are you assuming that the experience in 16 and so far, thus far in 17, is what we're going to see in 18 as far as rain and non-rain is concerned? Did you all look at it in that fashion? Or was it a function of deriving the expenses and saying the revenue has to equal the expenses? Did you go at it in that fashion?
Well, it's kind of all of that, Jim. There's a spreadsheet in there for projected water. We put the numbers in based on actual numbers for, what was the period of time?
We did it for the last 12 months is what we did. So what we went through.
Okay, so if you did it for the last 12 months, as far as revenue is concerned, especially the summer of 16 was wet.
Right.
So if you use that as a template for 18, you're going to be, in effect, forecasting on the basis of a wet summer. Is that not true?
That's true, but we all know that you can't predict
No,
the weather. So
but
we try to be
you know,
conservative.
I think that the 7-year drought that we went through that ended in 16, it looks to me like what's happening so far in the summer of 17, a little wetter certainly wetter than the drought years that we went through. So I would surmise from that if you're using the last 12 months, you're basically assuming that the weather here in Texas is going to continue to be wetter than it was in those 7 drought years.
Well, if you want to go and jump over to Schedule GFD, and it's really tough to read because it's very small.
What
print there.
page is it on?
That'd be page 18.
It's impossible to read. It's good down here. It's good on the screen.
Yeah, if you can look on your screen, it's a lot easier to read on your screen. So it'd be Schedule GFD, projected water revenue.
Yeah, there's no chance in the world I'd be able to read this.
Yeah,
Go
so
ahead.
if you can read on your monitor there.
Oh,
on your
okay.
computer, it's a little easier. You can blow it up that way.
Yeah, get on there. Come on.
About 10 copies, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 36 here, or 36 month consumption
That's page 18, you say?
here for this going off of here, but it's a 36 month consumption of all the data we have there. And we have a 1% increase collection from there, so I can't predict.
Got here.
what the summer's gonna be next year, is no problem.
C,
Hit enter.
GFC.
You got 100 and something.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, off the 36.
GFC.
Okay.
Let's hit enter.
I'm looking at the revenue, water revenue.
Well, yeah, I was doing the revenue part.
That's pulling from this one.
It's pulling from D.
Yeah, here's the small
36
print.
month
It's not,
consumption and pulling off of D. After raw data is on D.
Okay, while Jim's chasing that one down. Okay, so now I'm confused. GFC,
Okay.
projected water use projected for Fort Worth water cost. Well, down about 2 lines from where the title is, it says projected number of active meters on October 1st, 2016. I think that's going to be 2018. Then we've got, you're talking about 3 years over on the left two columns, it says meters for last 3 years combined, water use for last 3 years combined, and all of that flows across to a projected
How about this
monthly water
59.1?
use.
What you want?
Okay? That's based on a 3-year average.
Correct. If you look at D,
If I go to D,
go to D, the next
GFD.
one is actually fiscal year 14, 15, and 16. I'm sorry, year, because we're gonna be 12 months behind, based on all the data here, so this goes backwards. So we go off a 36-month consumption is what we go off of.
okay?
All that data on C is being driven by what's in D.
So you are basing it on 36 months, not 12 months.
We're basing 12
On the
months, the
average.
1%, the average, correct, and then we're taking the 1% for the 12 months here is what we're trying to predict for what 18 is gonna be.
Okay, so my question would be, why would you project, okay, bigger picture.
Okay.
And I was looking for the page, and I put it in a packet a few months back about what the average use per connection was over the last 10 years.
No, he
I
wanted this
did that
page.
number, worked that out, floated out, and then projected it based on our number of connections, and had the average
Being scheduled.
for the 10-year time period, and then did the factoring off of that to determine whether it was a wet year or a dry year based on that
GF-D.
average per
No,
use per
There you
connection.
go.
Come up with for the last 3 years, we have been in a wet year configuration. Our use has
Yeah, right,
consistently
yeah.
been below
You got it.
the average. So, looking at this schedule, and it all depends upon, in my perspective, what you have for reserves. If your reserves are weak, you're better off forecasting a wet year ahead of you than an average year or a dry year. And from my perspective, until I see something otherwise, I think the reserves are weak. So I'm inclined to say I'll take the wet years, the 3 wet years, because this data, all 3 years, is wet year data.
Correct.
Because we were down, down, and down again.
Correct.
Take that data and not add the 1% into it. Because what you're saying is, well, I'm going to sell more water, and what I'm saying is because we raised rates, 1, and 2, we don't know what the weather can be. We could be having another wet year, and we don't have a lot of reserves to cover another wet year.
Right.
I'm inclined not to add any upsales on water. Granted, when I do that, the rates are going to be incrementally higher, a small amount. But I don't think it's a huge number.
I'm a believer in conservative forecasting, so I buy what you're saying here is that let's don't overestimate the water sales.
Yeah.
Be my advice.
Yeah, frankly, we need a dry year to try and recoup some
But
of
for,
the
but
reserves.
for rate setting purposes and budgeting purposes, I think we should be conservative on how much water we're going to sell. Because if it turns out we are too conservative, then the reserves get added to. But if we overestimate the if we don't get the water sales that we put in the budget, we're going to tap into the reserves, and so I would say.
Change this, or
I would say that when you did the water sales, you referred me back to this schedule here, was printed in real small. I have it blown up now on the screen. What was the point you wanted to make about this schedule?
It's actually 30, it's the last 3 years, it's 36 months consumption is what we went off of. So
Okay.
That data is being driven from here, and I stand correct, it's actually 2%, not 1%. If you look on here, if you go down to line 89 and 90, that's gonna be A and B, or I'm sorry, it's gonna be,
we don't, this
Yeah,
spreadsheet doesn't have, I mean, the PDF doesn't have,
oh, you want PDF, okay, I'm sorry. If you go all the way down to,
what year?
all the way down past a year, past fiscal year 16, right under all those columns there, you're gonna see right in between going into 18, you're gonna see projected number of meters October 1st and projected growth at 2%, and I have projected meters at 4802. That's what doing all the math here, that's what we come up to, this October, that's how many meters we're gonna have.
But when you look, it sounds like what you did is you estimated the growth in meters.
Correct.
But
And then took the average consumption and basically backed
the
into it.
fact that you're gonna have City Hall come online, you're gonna have the
New restaurant.
Holiday Inn come online, you're gonna have a new restaurant down there by Holiday Inn in that vicinity. Those are all big water users. Did you think about that when you?
We did, Holiday Inn, I couldn't guarantee anything was gonna happen on that, so I didn't wanna predict on that. But we, in our numbers here, we stayed more on the conservative side, as you can see here. The growth rate was actually higher last year. Obviously, when you look at build out, things like that take effect, that we're slowly starting to decrease in
Yes.
the number of meters growing each month. I went back as far as I can, grab as many meters and watch each year grow. And this is kind of where the average, where we took it at. It is conservative numbers. We
Good.
did stay on that side, just because that's the data we have right now.
Is the growth rate projected on line 88? Is that a 2% growth in the number of meters?
Correct.
So you're telling me that you're going to get 96 new meters?
Now, you gotta think, this is new, meaning not meters that are, people when they leave and another one comes in, yeah, this is all gonna be new meters, correct?
You just confused me.
Okay.
People coming in and people departing and new people moving in is not a new meter.
Correct.
It's a new account, but not a new meter.
Correct.
So, but you're telling me I'm going to have 96 new meters, new homes, platted, connections. Is that what you're telling me?
That's what we have, correct.
Last time I checked the town, wasn't the number like they only had 100 lots left, something like that? 90.
But now you still have things that irrigation and stuff like that will come in that we took effect on everything that comes in with it.
We've had a lot of activity in irrigation meters this fiscal year.
But the thing about, you say you're putting an irrigation meter in to an existing property. All you're doing is adding the meter. The water sales probably not going to change because it's an accounting factor for an existing residence. They have a 3/4 inch meter and they say, I want more water. So you add a meter, but they're still, rather than watering 5 hours, now they're going to water 4. So, I mean, the water sales look to me to be the same. The meter is just it's a meter cost. Granted, there's an additional fee there, but I don't know that I can get to a 2% growth rate on meters. I mean, you might do it, if the town builds out in 2018, then that'll be it. Because once again, maybe I'm too conservative, but
Let's look at it this way for a moment. What is the percent growth in water forecasted for 18 versus, say, what you've projected for the rest of 17 in total? In other words, are you showing a growth in the sale of water in 18 over 17? And if so, by what percentage are you showing that? Because I think here's where we can move toward the conservative side a little bit. If you're projecting a certain water sale for 17 with 7 months under your belt, or more than that, that's 3 plus 9 months under your belt, then I think we need to say that the water sales in 18 over 17 are not going to be very much.
Okay.
I don't know if you have the ability to look at that number. I didn't see it there immediately, but
I mean, what I've got here in this sheet is the consumption level, and we can back into the water cells. I mean, the consumption is going to go from what I projected of 848 million to 927. That's gonna be fiscal.
I think the biggest danger we run when we talk about adding or detracting from the cash reserves is to get too optimistic on water sales.
Okay, so, Stephen, in your numbers, how'd you calculate the commercial property? Did you just consider that another connection, or?
Well, we took SCW gave us the breakdown of the commercials, what's on here, and we have it broke down. Let's see here. So no, it's all lumped into it with it. And we have, through SCW, we looked at the connections for as what the commercial did bring in with it, but it didn't measure it all together. But as far as consumption, if you look at here, we've got, so last fiscal year. So if you go over and CB is what's on your computer. Oh, you don't have that. Okay, so it's 927 million was consumption of last year.
Can you put your computer up on this screen? Do you have a location, or
I don't think.
one of you guys are
Can.
sitting at a location, I know,
What do you want it?
to turn it on, put it on the screen here?
Turn mine on in here? Or
Yeah,
turn
well,
that on?
projected, there's a connection underneath
Oh.
that seat there
Gotcha.
that you can switch and put, you know, tells you what, station you're at, and it can be displayed. Cause you're working off an Excel spreadsheet,
Correct.
and we have the PDF, and you can't read the numbers, I don't
Is it
even know
down
why
here?
these pages were printed.
I think the switch box is right at your
Yeah,
feet, isn't it?
it's
like
underneath
a
this, the
multi-toggle
second
switch.
chair. You'll see a switch box down there, and you put what station you're at.
But Jim, in answer to your question, last year they showed 927 total. This year, this projected year, they're showing 961.
Yes.
So it is a fairly healthy increase.
You're talking about gallons of water sales?
Right,
961 versus 927.
right.
There it is.
Just-
Trying to-
Do you have the spreadsheet?
That's about a
Yeah, it's open right now.
3.6% increase. That sounds high to me.
It's on 6. And it came on there, but it's not good.
In Jim's laptop and we put the Excel sheet on his laptop.
Is it on here?
No, if I put it on.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
know,
I'm-
but-
I was just gonna try
Let's
and,
do that, because I think you're gonna have an easier time following along than Carl trying to expand stuff, or
What we
did
do?
that work?
okay, that's fine, just give me a
So let me go grab a.
thumb drive,
Go ahead and turn this back off.
yeah, if you want.
Is that
Put,
plug?
put the station, I think it's number 2. At least
This
it's
is
on,
2. We're 2.
what?
It's on 6 right now.
It's on 6.
Yeah.
It should push it to 2.
Okay, I found that data sheet that I was looking for. It was back in the February 15th regular agenda packet. Average yearly volume adjusted for the connections would be roughly 1 million, just a touch over 1 million. I'm sorry, 1 trillion gallons. In 2016, we sold 886 million, 2015, 935, and 2014, 937. And those years were down years. 2014 was down 5%, 2015 was down 9%, and 2016 was down 16% on water usage. So if you're looking at a wet year, I would say you need to be in the 936 range,
Yeah.
roughly.
I think so too. I mean.
And I
based
don't
on
remember,
what
was
you
that the
said.
number that we had there?
See, if
We
you.
have 961 right now.
Switch
Yeah,
it.
you had 961 in there for 18.
Correct.
And so when you go back over to page 1 of this spreadsheet you passed out to us, you show that you have a revenue of 9,903 and expenses of 9,903. Now, if we reduce that 961 to 936, that's 961 minus 936 is 25. 25, is those millions of gallons? 961, is that millions?
Correct.
Okay, so it's 25 million. 25 million divided by 927, which was the current year. That shows an increase of about 2.6%. Whereas if you go all the way up to, that's is that right? 25 divided by 927. Yeah, 2.6 or 2.7%. The way it sits now, if we go from 927 to 961, you're showing about a 3.7% increase. I would like to suggest we decrease that 961, like Bill said, back down to vicinity of 936, which is going to be about a 2.7% reduction. So if you take the 9903
I got it.
revenue times
You got it?
No.
0.027, you'd have to reduce that about 267,000 on the revenue side, which means that since we're a zero income loss type utility, if we reduce the revenue by 267, we'd have to reduce the expenses by 267. So the question then becomes, does anything pop in your mind where you might find a reduction in expenses of $250,000, $60,000, $70,000?
You have a lot of money in capital projects. You have a lot of money in legal. I don't think you can touch legal.
I don't think Ken either.
Capital
we have-
projects, you'll just have to look at them and decide what's more important.
We have one purchase that's fairly large that, to look at the vac truck, that's what,
Well,
30 something?
let me go to the big picture. We started at the top of the page, which is
General fund.
general fund revenues. And I think we've had the discussion before that this time we wanted to work the cost side of the equation. We'll work the cost side of the equation and come back after we get that settled, and then we come back and see where we need to be
Yeah, we
on
can
our
go
rates.
through, we can go through the costs and see if we got reductions that any of us think are appropriate, but, so I'm perfectly willing to do that. I'm just saying to you that,
Yeah.
I think that we would hope that we'd find $250,000 worth of reductions. If we don't, then we may have to enforce some things to go down. That's the way I feel about it.
Okay, let's move on.
Kevin, I have a question.
Go ahead.
What, in the page 1, across the top, the last column, next to last column, next to comments, percent of budget, what is that, those string of numbers? Nothing adds to 100%.
That is the percentage of the budget through 6/30/17. So the column next to it, that's where that number is to the budget.
I requested that be added this year. What that gives you is you have, you see back over there, it says FY 2017 Amendment Number 1.
Right.
Okay, so that's an amended amount. So then you've got the proposed, and then got the total through June 30th of this year that's been consumed. And then that percent of budget number is how much that is of the 6,977. So you can look at that percent of budget column, and at the end of June, we should have, if everything was working perfectly, all of those would be at 75%, with the exception of the revenue line and
So
water.
this, I got it now. This percent is in line item by line item.
Yes,
comparison. Okay.
yes, that'll, I ask for that for me anyway, so that we can go down and look at what it was budgeted previously. And then in the far left column, you have the 2016 actual. That's not the budget, that's your actual expenditures. To me, it does no good to look at a budgeted number. I need to be looking at actuals, because I'm setting a budget.
Got it.
Okay,
But
so-
I'm sure you recognize that 75% through 9 months does in fact equal 75%. But 50% of our revenue comes in the last 4 months.
In
So you
water.
got to be careful with that 75.
And in the revenue lines, I'm looking at, well, expenses sometimes, and staff will be, because I'm going to be questioning a lot of things, and staff can explain why there's a variation. I mean, if there's not a good explanation for a variation, then we're either going to need to increase the budget or decrease. We have the capability to decrease the budget for next year, from my perspective.
You want to continue on and look at expenses?
Kevin, that's the only thing I had on page 2.
Okay, anyone else have any other questions?
I have several things on page 2.
Okay,
Okay, if you look at, and I'm just going to start at general expenses and start walking down the categories. Second one down is overtime.
You're talking about page 3?
I'm on page 2,
page 2, general.
still on page 2, general.
And Bill, are you on the general fund expenses?
General fund expenses, yeah. First one I have is overtime.
That's in the water. That's in the bottom half of the page, is it not?
It is, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's in the water.
okay.
Overtime, we had budgeted 19.5. We proposed 20 for next year. Our actual is 9,000. So percent of budget is 46.6% as opposed to the 75. So my question is, looking at water, why are we, either why are we under, or why are we budgeting more for next year?
The reason why we are under this year is because we've only had about 3 main breaks.
Okay,
So we haven't had, a string of those. Usually a lot of those are called in at night after hours.
Okay, hey,
We haven't had a lot of that this year yet.
okay, so are you telling me then that 3 is abnormally low and you would ordinarily expect twice that many? Twice as much overtime?
Yes, and probably quadruple that amount of main breaks.
Okay,
That too, and for that instance, the water, they don't start picking up their overtime until during the summertime, and some of the data we hear is going to be still delayed from what's coming in, so they got overtime this last couple paychecks, stuff like that. So going forward, they're going to use more overtime these last few months here.
okay, so I understand I'm looking at the 75%. So what you're telling me is that the overtime between July, August, and September is going to be higher than it is the previous 3 months? Or
Correct.
the average?
On
Okay,
average,
okay,
Because you experience more breaks in the summer months.
correct.
okay.
Although going through this year, we haven't experienced the amount of breaks in a normal year. Even up to this point. This time I would expect more by this time. We just had rain at key points.
Okay, fine. On down on that same column, and this one kind of flows throughout all of the main departments. Retirement is down. Is that retirement? I'm looking at retirement, medical insurance, dental insurance, vision insurance. All of those seem to be lower than the 75% factor. Is that due to when they're billed?
No, right now that is because we have been 1 person short for this entire budget year, and we have been 2 people short for the last,
3 months.
3 months. So that's a reason for that. We actually do have 2 more individuals coming on. One has actually started. Another one will probably start in hopefully another week.
Okay. And that unemployment taxes, I have a similar type of question on down on that same category, where we proposed, the previous was 1,026, proposed 1,080, we spent $45.
The unemployment, you pay whatever your rate is, times the first $9,000 of wages per employee. You don't find out what your new rate is until right before the end of the first calendar quarter. So typically, last year, I'm not sure, I don't remember what the rate was, but typically it seems like it flip-flops, and a lot of it depends on unemployment claims. But our new rate this year dropped down to 0.1%. So we, on $9,000, that's not very much money. But last year, and I can look and see what the exact rate was, but it was a higher rate. So we projected based on what our rate was last year, not knowing what was going to happen. So that's part of why that's so low.
Okay, so I'm still trying to figure out, there's a world of distance, and there's two ways to do budgeting. One of which is you look at something, you say, do you know how you're going to find $250,000, and you don't look at the small things, or you just go ahead and clip the small things, and then you go looking for something that's $100,000. So I'm doing a line item by line item here. This $45, is that, is there a reason that I should be budgeting 1,080 rather than $500?
I'm expecting the rate to go back up next year because it seems to go from large to small. We're in a small year.
Okay.
So I was expecting it to go back up next year.
And-
Again,
so-
we were two people, well,
Yeah.
one complete general manager out, except for 4 months this year. So those numbers are low because of that, all the
Okay.
related salary issues.
Okay.
Plus Mike's short
The
people.
two, okay.
So overall,
You expect, what you're telling me is you expect it to be back around at least the $900 range like it was in 2016,
I expect
Or more.
a full
okay?
staff.
Okay, good. Down on employee relations, I have an amount here that's basically, the spending's not equaling the amount, but then between departments, I find we have basically the same number of employees, roughly speaking, in both sewer, water, and admin, plus or minus one. And yet I have a variation from $300 to $600 between departments. And I wonder if there's a particular reason for that. Well, I think we're gonna find, when we get over, I think admin is 300. And, wastewater is 650. See if I can find admin. If you can find it there real quick.
It's gonna be on the top of page 5,
Yeah,
second line down,
okay. Is,
is that right?
Second line down, Bill.
yeah. That's a very large number,
The admin number is the Christmas party.
okay? Which includes everybody then,
That's everybody.
okay?
And any staff meetings that we have in here, if we buy donuts or fruit, it goes under admin, employee relations.
Okay,
The Christmas party is 2,000, correct?
2,000
2,000
is
is
the
Christmas
budget
party.
for the Christmas party.
okay. So, so there's actually, as you look at, when you look at the administrative side, then it picks up more more employee relation activities than the individual departments. It actually includes
Yeah, that's more
other
overall.
other individual departments. Okay, so can somebody explain to me the difference between the wastewater amount and the water amount?
Before we do this, can I close that? I'm having a hard time hearing, because I hear everybody out here.
You have to
We
leave
have,
at
we have
least-
to leave it open.
You have to leave at least one door open.
Thank you.
Okay, so, Mike, can you explain the water?
Just on my part, I mean, I really don't use a lot in employee relations. I mean, for
Okay,
that,
why-
that
why
would
don't
be
we-
something as if like we had a main break that lasted all night or, you know, something like that. Maybe the guys needed some food.
You gotta feed the troops.
Yeah, that is what
Okay,
would it be used for water.
Okay.
okay.
Okay, can we move on?
Well, I'd like to, if we can bounce between the two departments.
Well, I
Looking
actually have
between-
6 employees on my side.
Yeah, there's more employees in one department.
He only has 3, I have 6.
Yeah.
And so I have a lot more people that I take care of. That's why mine's more expensive.
You have how many when I looked at the water department, back in the employees section, I thought one of you had like 6, the other had 7.
What? We've never
I
had
have-
some.
Well, there's budgeted, but we like he said, we lost one 3 months ago, or one left 3 months ago, and we have one budget that wasn't filled until currently being filled
Okay,
now.
but let's plan on full staff. Okay? How many full staff in water?
5,
How many full staff in wastewater?
maybe 6. I will have 6.
You will have 6. 6 in water, counting yourselves. How many in sewer?
7, including my.
7. So like I said, plus or minus 1. 300 versus 650. And if I go back, I don't think, find wastewater. Let's see, water has used, where'd they go? Water's used 187, that's 75%. Wastewater has used 392. That's 75%.
So,
I'm,
what do you want to do, rather?
I thought they would,
this
if,
thing
if,
down?
if
Do you want to
it's,
change it to even
Yes.
it, or what?
I think it should be close
Okay,
to
then
being
do it.
even.
Okay,
I
make
think,
this suggestion, but I don't want
I
to get
I
down
would-
to the micromanage level. And okay, what kind of pizza did you order? Was it pepperoni? Did it have extra? You know, let's stay even. If you want to balance it, then say I recommend that we balance it.
I
based
recommend that we balance it
Okay,
based on
got
the number
that,
of
Stephen?
employees.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on. Did anyone else have anything else on the general fund expenses?
I have maintenance and repairs on water.
Okay,
We're at 52.68% at the where we should be 75%. It has gone down from 128 to 128.50, which was an amended amount off of a 100 in the original budget. But at $67,000 and 52%, at 75% mark, doesn't look like, it still looks like it's too much.
This again goes back to not having as many main breaks, buying as much material and everything
Okay.
like that. The
Okay.
2850 amendment, that was actually the wall repair.
Okay, and we're not doing another wall repair next week. Okay, thanks.
anything else on that? So
Not
the
on
only
that page.
change on that is to balance the employee relations, is that correct?
That would be my suggestion.
Okay. Anyone have any other comments on that? Okay, Stephen and Renee, you got that direction on that? Okay, next.
On page 3, property maintenance.
In which section, Bill?
I'm at the very top, I'm sorry. I'm starting at the top, coming down. I don't know if I can use line items here now. 60280.
Fourth line down.
Fourth line down. We're at 13.34%. Can somebody explain to me why we're sticking with $5,000?
This goes back into, again, as far as main breaks, this would be like anything as far as like dirt, sand, backfill material, any sod or grass that would need to be purchased to restore property to the way it was before we started digging in a residence yard. And we just haven't had that big influx of main breaks this year. At least not as yet.
Okay, so if you've had 3 and you're at $700 and you double that, takes you to 14. I still have a hard time getting to $5,000 unless you're gonna tear up somebody's driveway.
Mike, if you compare it
That
to
happens.
last year was only 2643. You've almost doubled it.
I think mowing's previously been put in that line. It's kind of been all over the place. It was under regular repairs and maintenance, I believe. Terry put it in there, then we moved it to property maintenance, and now it's in lawn. The next line, 60285, lawn and equipment. So that's where it's being budgeted now, so there may be a little bit of that overlapping.
I think what Bill's asking you, Mike, is your actual was 2643 last year. You've spent diddly squat this year, so why are you doubling it going into next year?
Well, he's carrying this year's forward, is what's happened. We budgeted 5,000 this year.
Correct, so I'm just
And,
carrying
and
that
we
forward.
haven't, he's just carrying that number across, and what I'm saying is, it looks to me like it's high. And quite frankly, here's what I'm looking at in the total budget picture. I want to get these numbers down to as close as I can get them. And then if we get into the year and we have a problem, I'm going to fund the reserves stronger. And if we run over something, I'm going to come in and we do budget amendment and bring it back up. Is what I'm looking at.
That would be fine. I mean, going back to 2016, if we wanted to drop that to about 3,000,
Okay?
I mean, I would be fine with that.
Okay?
I mean, if I need to, I can amend it later.
Okay.
Okay, so you're gonna amend that, the property maintenance,
Yes.
The 3.
the 3? Okay. Okay, next,
Next line down,
lawn,
lawn. Year-to-date, 3,700, and we're budgeting it, we don't have a prior 16 to work off at, but we're budgeting at 14,000?
This is a mowing contract that we have to mow all the lift stations, wells, water plant. So that's actually a contract price for the year.
This is water only,
Water and wastewater.
so it's in both of them?
It's in both.
So what you're telling me is that we have a contract
I have a contract, so the
at
reason why I haven't spent,
14.7?
yeah, the reason why I haven't spent that so much, of course, you know, from October to, you know, around May, we don't do a lot of mowing. So
Okay.
right now, we're picking we pick up our mowing times.
the wastewater is 11.6, Bill, for the lawn maintenance.
Oh, okay, so maybe this is just water. Maybe, did we split that out, Renee, or do you know? Oh, well,
Yeah,
okay, so
it's
this
split
is
out.
just water.
So
So
the
this
whole-
is for the wells, water plant.
The contract is $25,000?
Yes,
Does that sound right?
yes.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Okay, the next one, interfund transfer out debt reserve. This, I guess, is going to be Renee. We've had quite a variation on that, and there's, something comes up later with bonds. So can you just talk to me about what's going on there? I mean, we transferred out, budgeted to 64.9. We put out 18, and you're proposing 37. So,
Okay, the debt reserve, we have two revenue bonds. The first one was the 9.3. The bond covenants require us to put 5 years, 60 months of payments in to be held till the bond's paid.
okay,
So we started paying that. That was being expensed to wastewater. Then we got the SWIFT bond last year, and it required the bond covenants amount to go up.
yes,
So I posted the new amount this year, the raised amount, I posted it all to water, and it should have been split out between water and wastewater, which I will correct in the July
okay.
financials. So, also.
Hang on a second.
Okay,
In order to get us all on the same line, you see that the account column, and it's in the middle, the 5 digits that come after the 135. If you could, somebody wants to talk about it, could they say 60360 or,
Okay,
I can't find the line you're on here.
Okay,
Boy,
60333.
okay, you got it highlighted up there, okay.
60333, 010,
It's this one right here.
and there's also 333, the one underneath it. There's one for 10 and there's one for 20. And as of June, the breakdown was incorrect, which will be
Okay.
corrected with the July.
Okay,
So basically, we're putting in, the newest amount is $14,361 a month that's going into that reserve account. And then the amount budgeted is the new, for the new year. It'll be the same until, if we get the third revenue note for the water line to go to the elevated tank, then that number will go up again.
okay.
So there's an amount that we have to reach, so,
So is the 37, I'm looking at line 60333.
right.
Is the 37,
That is,
37,000, is that a correct number?
yeah, it's like, I would say yes, but I will double check it.
Okay. I just caught the, there's, the 181% is a significant, that jumps off the page.
Okay, what lines are, the reserve you're gonna break out to be correct?
60135, 60333,
Right, that's the one he just talked
Oh,
about.
010, and 020, yes.
But right now, that's what he's saying, 181%. So some of that is going to the 020?
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's
it'll
why it's
be,
181%.
it'll be redistributed between
Yeah.
10 and 20.
That's why it's 181%.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you pull that over to the 020 account, it'll come down in percentage? Okay. Anything else?
Not on that particular line item. 60360, furniture and equipment. $2,500 and proposed $2,500, didn't spend any of it.
I just haven't bought any furniture this year. I'm assuming maybe after the town occupies their new building and we maybe switch some offices around, there may be some purchases. I don't know what the amount would be. I would assume probably wouldn't be over $1,000, $1,500.
Okay, so that would be predicated upon a non-agreement between the town and the MUD on the occupancy of that building.
No, we're
Or-
talking about the extra 2 copies, the offices that they are in now.
Oh, in our building.
Yes.
Gotcha.
They're both our building, just for the record, but.
You're right. Our land, too.
Our building, our land?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. The next one down is fuel and lube.
On that one, we did drop this year.
Yep.
Oh, God, I can't predict what gas prices are doing. We did lower it a little bit just because for our proposed budget, because we are, not spending as
okay.
much in that category.
So it seems to me, as I look at the year-to-date total, at call it 6.3, it seems to me that if you were to double that, you would cover gas at $4.04 a gallon. So,
I mean, you have to understand too, I've been short employees and we've had some vehicles. We haven't been running all of our vehicles all the time.
okay,
So, I mean, we can lower it and come back and do a budget amendment if need be.
Okay.
I'd be fine with that.
Are
I
you-
would say maybe drop it to 15.
I was gonna say, are you comfortable with 15?
Yeah.
Okay,
So you're gonna drop fuel and lube from 20 to 15?
Yes.
somebody keep track of all of these decreases, because I'm gonna be looking at a number to make sure my reserves look like I can recover some of it. Uniforms.
And I've actually, there's probably some uniform purchases on here that are not up to date on this, just because we have new employees coming in, so I'm gonna be a lot closer than 39%. I'm probably gonna be up in the 80%.
Okay. Okay. Chemicals. We went from 13 to 20,000, carried it across from this year to next year. Year-to-date total is 11. Granted, we put in an ammonia system, and so there's a need for ammonia there. But being at 11 and 56%, we've been using that ammonia for a few months anyway, haven't we?
Yes, we have, but the new ammonia system will run probably mostly in the wintertime. We don't have as big need for it in the summer
Okay, because of the flow-through.
because of the flow through. And this project wasn't even done until, I want to say, around the February mark.
Okay.
So I expect that to go up.
You expect that to be up in the 20,000 range, or are you thinking it's going to be more in the
I would expect it to be
18?
right in, around 18,000, probably somewhere around there.
You comfortable at 18?
Well, I mean, we can drop it to 18.
No, don't let me sell you bill goods.
No, I think I would feel more comfortable with 20 because our
Okay.
chlorine price is actually going up this year also.
Okay. Safety equipment. That's 65040.
And that has been purchased,
Has been purchased.
yes.
Okay,
It's just not
so that's-
updated on here.
All right.
So we're gonna be running real close to that $1,000, I think.
Okay. Okay. Meter expense. This is buying new meters, right?
Correct.
Okay, and we have a plan to do that.
Yes, this is for new installs. Now, I know we've got some commercial coming in.
This isn't replacements.
This isn't replacement. This is for brand new meters. So I know we've got a restaurant that's coming in. I believe they come in and paid their fees just the other day, and some of these big meters get very expensive very quickly.
I understand that.
Change outs is the next line down, Bill.
Okay.
Mike, we've been under a plan for quite a few years now to replace old meters with the ones that can be read electronically. What percent are we now completed with that project?
I think the only meters we don't read electronically right now are commercial meters, and I want to say we've got about 90 that we still read manually.
So, commercial.
All the
All
residential.
residential have been converted.
All residential are read electronically
Great.
every month. Make
Okay.
sure that gets on tape.
Yeah.
So all the residential now have the ability to do the multi-month tracking.
No. We read all of them electronically. If you look on the meter changeout program there, it's got fiscal 18 meter replacements and profile head replacements. So we do go out every year and replace the endpoints on those, meter heads and endpoints, to give them the profile capability.
And how many more of those do we still have to do to be fully done?
I don't remember what we started out with, but I would say probably somewhere around 1,000
Still to go?
that still need to be done.
And that's to get the data log capability, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
So some of those will work over. Sometimes when we do meter replacements, that'll run over into the profile issue too, because some of the older ones that we replace will then become a profile at that time. So we may convert a little bit more than what we
Okay.
budget.
Next,
While
Bill.
we're on that subject, what's your plan this year, number-wise, against that 1,000?
Usually we do about 225 heads a year.
Okay, thank you.
Next, Bill.
Meter changeout, we've talked about that. Capital outlays. I think that probably gets all the way to a schedule to talk about it.
There's a capital outlay schedule.
GFA. What I noticed was the 43.87%.
And the biggest lump of that is due to the street projects.
Okay,
That's the main jump in that.
that's the driver for the 810?
Yes, because
Would you
about
back to GF?
600 and, I don't know if I can find it, about 600 and something thousand.
Let me find GFA.
649 is roads.
Wait a minute. I got seven, well, okay, 649 is roads. That's just 3 Indian Creek, Indian Creek, Phoenix, Sundance, Portland Drive.
Now,
on page
Portland
14.
Drive is one not with the town.
Yeah,
That will be a mud-only one. I do need to upgrade my SCADA panel at the tank. I've got $50,000 in that. $50,000 for a pump discharge head. We need to either replace or rehab one of those, and then just water valve replacements.
okay, are we going, I don't see it on here, and this is gonna go probably off track. Are we gonna replace any pumps this year? We planning to upgrade another pump from a fixed to a variable?
I would like to wait another year on that because I wanna see how far, I would rather get that line into the elevated tank and before, to have the pumping capability to push water over
Put
there
it
like I
someplace.
should before jumping ahead and spending the money to go ahead
Okay.
and upgrade another
Okay.
pump.
Okay,
Anything else on the water side?
What about lab analysis, Bill? Second from the bottom.
well, that's a good question.
Is that your question?
Yeah, jump in
Well, I thought
there.
Bill was gonna ask it.
No, actually, I don't have it in yellow.
Lab
Lab
analysis,
analysis on the PID.
lab analysis for PID portion, it's 55135. 1725 for 2016 actual, jumped up to 5,000 carried over, but you've only spent 975. Is that 5,000 kind of too much?
We can lower that. Actually, I don't know exactly how that works. Maybe Renee can chime in, but we actually bill this to the town. Is that not correct?
No,
No,
we do that. We pay for that,
for the PID,
yes.
But it just,
the
I mean,
001.
Is there what? Yes, there's a zero, those two are 001,
Okay.
but we take care of that.
kind of back to what Bill said earlier about trying to get this as close to real actual as possible. It looks like $2,000 is gonna be a lot closer to real actual.
And I would be fine with that.
Okay.
I don't think. I have to go back and check. We may have to do some lead and copper sampling.
So are
for
we
the-
lowering that or keeping it or what's the deal?
I think we can lower it to 2,000.
2,000, okay, we're gonna lower the lab fee to 2,000.
Okay,
That's
then,
just the lab analysis,
yeah,
right?
just lab analysis.
Yeah, it's 55135.
Correct.
Okay, then the next one I've got is 60135. I gotta let Renee catch up here. I need to. I don't wanna get ahead of my staff.
60 what?
It's the next line down.
Next line down.
60135.
Permit?
The permits, we've got 5,000 this year, 5,000 proposed next year, and 0 right now.
The date.
So what do we got?
I don't know the answer to that. I was just following suit.
Yeah, I don't know either. I know in the mud, we have to pay a fee per connection every year. I don't know how that works with the PID. I think that was a general manager duty in the past. Cause I never received the information from TCEQ. But I know every year we do.
So what, that, in other words, that note isn't up to date where, is it, there's still 245 a connection?
I have not seen what that number will be.
Can we get an update on that if it needs to be wiped out or lowered or put a correct amount in there? What did we pay last year?
Shows not,
Yeah, we
shows
haven't paid
nothing in
anything.
2016.
How about 2015?
Oh, we don't have that, I didn't ask for that
I
line.
know, but what do, Renee can look it up and.
I can look it up.
Okay, I don't have, yeah.
But if you go right up to the top where you see TCEQ fees and permits for the mud,
Mhm.
My machine's screwed up.
Is that a line item that
2140.
should be just removed?
Renee's checking on it, see what we can.
60135.
I'll get it.
Steven's gonna look.
Got it right here.
Mine's twirling.
I broke
Okay,
it
so what-
already.
What's the, how's the 21,
135.
how these two lines connect up to each other? One's 21,940, and the other one is 5,000, but we spent nothing.
That is right there.
it is
Put the yellow one in.
It's a per connection fee, so obviously we have a lot more connections in the mud than we do in the PID.
So that, okay. So there should be something in there. Are we rolling the fees, the PID fees into the mud amount maybe? Put it that way?
That's not the way it's billed like that.
What?
TCEQ sends individual bills. I haven't ever seen a bill from TCEQ
Well,
for
we
the
paid,
PID.
for the mud meters and fees and permits, we paid 21,940.
Right?
It's a one-time thing in October.
Did we?
So we're paying it to somebody.
Yeah, and although we have the North Texas Groundwater District, we pay, you know, the well fees for that. They charge us for all the water that we pump out of our wells.
Well, this,
We get a
this
quarterly
says,
bill for
yeah,
that.
this says TCQ fees.
Yes. And we do
So-
have
All
an
right,
assessment fee
25,
every year
81.
from
Click on that.
TCQ.
She's saying she's never seen a bill.
Recode, PID water system fee.
Okay,
TCEQ.
so in 2015,
There's a bill,
2015.
yeah.
2015, we paid $2,018.75 to TCEQ for the PID.
But in
For what?
2016, we did.
We didn't pay anything in
For
16.
what was the bill for?
Go to,
Says-
go back.
What, okay, so,
You go back.
rather than be
Right-click on that.
bottlenecked here, check out those two accounts, Stephen.
Come back to us.
Yeah.
Okay.
You need to check out and see if maybe something's being dumped into that 60135 account
I
that
think
should
not.
be going into the 60135-001,
Recode.
okay?
Looks like.
Okay.
Because there's a
TCQ right
fee,
there,
obviously,
$7,000.
we paid one in 2015,
Right.
so there should have been one in
It's
20.
marked as a recode. I can't get to the detail
Okay,
of
well,
it is, but I'll
let's
I'll
move
get
on.
that and
Yeah,
let you
okay.
know.
Okay, wastewater.
Hey, Bill, it's the same account number.
Bill, wastewater,
Yeah. Jim just said it's the same
It's the
account
same
number.
account number.
it is, and one ends with 001.
Yeah.
One ends
Oh,
with
I'm
000.
sorry, you're right, 000 plus a
Yeah,
001.
mine all looks like 00010s, but that's,
Same
oh, I
base
see,
count because it's
I see
for
where you're at, yeah.
TCQs. Okay, wastewater.
Okay, wastewater had the same thing on overtime. Overtime actually looks to be a little bit high. So my question is, are we driving this overtime, because here again, I was looking at 75% and you're at 82%.
Actually, the reason why that is because a lot of the wastewater guys, they work water and wastewater since they're so low. So my guys actually went to Jason did, Orley did, went to his side during our on-call stuff.
Okay, so you.
So that's where the overtime came
So it
from,
was
some of it.
billed to you, it was billed to wastewater, but actually it
What comes
was
out of their
doing
paycheck.
waterworks. And my water superintendent's going, I don't
No,
think
I think a
so.
lot of this is because he had guys working Saturdays.
Well, that's also true.
For, how about construction?
I'm sorry?
Is some of this part of a construction
Yes,
cost
it
out there
is.
monitoring that? Okay.
The bulk
So-
of this came, I would say, right around November area. That's where we had guys running Saturdays. It's calmed down. It's stopped since then. But at that time, we had a lot of guys running 6 days a week. They were running the extra 8 hours running through.
Okay, so my question, my driver on the question is 30,000 enough?
What?
Yeah, I think it would be because truthfully, with this new plant online, hopefully everything will work out really well to where we don't have those kind of issues.
Okay, I heard,
Yeah.
I heard from you that because the construction,
Mhm.
some guys had to work overtime.
Yes.
Okay, those numbers need to be broken out, at least, adjustment or something, and put into a construction account. because-
Actually, it should already have been done because Kevin was actually told to do that.
Yeah, they should be done so we can log them, and especially if we go back, to Weber Cadagua saying, okay, our employees had to work extra hours because of a water break, a line break, electrical break, generator going down, something like that. We need to account for those hours in a bucket. Any hours that your guys go to Mike, I mean, their employees are employees, it's gonna be a wash unless you're micromanaging things. To me, I don't really care, but if someone wants to capture those, okay, it should have been billed to this account. But you'll need to hire at least 2 or 3 more accountants to do all that stuff.
Well, for one thing, when we have our workers' comp audit, all the payroll numbers need to stay, related numbers need to stay in this fund.
Right, that's
If
what
you
I-
want to calculate it somewhere else, but If you start
I
spreading
don't
and doing,
want-
it
I don't either.
becomes
Yeah, I
crazy.
don't want to, but as far as the overtime hours, they can stay in here as far as numbers reporting, but they need to be documented, somewhere that, hey, we had to put, this many hours that were uncalled for because of your mess ups or delays or something like that. Do you agree, Carmen?
I agree completely.
Okay.
I got it noted.
Okay. Go on.
The next one I have is, once again, it's the medical insurance. Now, the water superintendent said he's short on personnel, but the wastewater treatment plant, I don't believe you've been short on personnel, and now I've got my medical insurance down at 56%. So here again, I'm still running that. Is the answer the same as before, or?
Part of that is we budgeted a general manager to have
Well, this is
medical, vision, all of that, so,
And that's prorated across into wastewater?
oh, no, I'm sorry.
We pay, doesn't the medical go from, January to December? We pay the bill?
I think you're right.
Yes, it started, well, we had previous insurance in October and November of this year, which was a lot higher.
And our rates have changed from.
And then our rates
budget.
went down a lot in December. So yes, this particular session of insurance was December of 16 through December of 17. But we budgeted
You budgeted
just through
less.
September, through,
Well, you've also budgeted, your budget dropped from 73 down to 62.1, so you did, that's part of what, it was just an attention getter on there on that
Okay,
one.
just to wipe out that whole table on insurance, so we don't go through every
Yeah.
department on that. I asked you about this earlier. We have a management company or, whatever you wanna call them, that
yes.
make sure we get the best policy for the
Right.
best buck. And you said that he gave you a number of 10% increase, is
He
it?
said just to be very conservative, to go with 10. However, clients that he has, that has this same product have been, that are renewing now are coming in at 6 to 7%. But
But conservative is 10%, and that's what you applied
that's
to
what
this
I
budget.
used, was 10.
If I go to the schedule, everything from last year to this year is gonna have a 10%.
When you look at the schedule, it has a statement there that it was
Perfect.
projected
Okay.
at 10%
So we can
Okay,
wipe out
sounds
all
good.
the-
Yeah, sounds good.
We
Okay.
won't have the true numbers until the first week to third week of October.
If you go to the schedule GFI, that has it all broke down with 10% across the board on
That's
everything
okay.
broke down.
I'm just
Okay.
saying that, I knew it, but just
Yeah.
for the board to know that
Yeah.
all that's 10%, all the insurance. Okay,
Yes.
continue, Bill.
I'm down to 55,005, engineering. It was 70,000, we spent 852, and we're not proposing any for next year for wastewater engineering.
The wastewater, there's $70,000 on capital projects.
For lift station one.
There's 7,100 for Kevin to do a study on moving the lift station number 1. I put the 70,000 that was in engineering into capital projects because that will be a capital project should y'all decide to do that. So that 70 actually just went from engineering to
Will you-
capital
Can we put
outlays.
a note out there, please? Just say move to capital projects. Thank you.
Okay.
Next, Bill.
Is 55080-020, maintenance and repairs.
Okay.
We're at 112% right now.
The reason why that is because when we did the SEP in I guess it was March we started that. We got the bill for that, it was $30,000, and we actually put that into the maintenance, which is actually gonna be moved. That's why it's so much higher now, because the SEP.
Okay,
Right, we plan to do a budget amendment to correct that.
okay. So you're comfortable with the 8610?
Truthfully, actually, I'm really, really comfortable with it because, like I said earlier, hopefully with the upgrade of the wastewater plant, hopefully we won't have a lot of issues because everything will be either warranted or new.
You meant 86,100, didn't you? Bill?
86,100, yeah.
Big difference.
But it would at this point, it would be premature to take that down to something else.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Should we put a note on that too, that the CSEP is gonna be bringing that number? Is that correct?
I'm sorry?
CEP that we did,
Yes,
that's gonna change?
yes. It's going to bring that
Offset.
number way up
Okay,
because it's $30,000.
okay.
Okay, the next one down, 55085020,
Generator?
the generator. We budgeted 20,000 this year. We're proposing 20,000. We've spent $1,500. So tell me what we've got there.
Actually, we actually have two generators. Technically, we actually have three now. A brand new one, an older one, and one in the lift station number 1. We actually did a lot of work for lift station 1, so that number should be a lot higher than that now because we actually put the new switcher on there, the switch. A lot of maintenance to it. We've done a lot of work to it.
The
so it
number
be
that
higher.
should be higher is the 1,500.
Correct.
But are you gonna get it to, okay, so you put that on this year, but you're running are we saying that the running maintenance for generators and repairs is going to be $20,000 a year?
No, I actually know that's just moved from A to B. That's still 3 generators. One's older, one's really old, and the other one's brand new. So hopefully we don't spend that kind of money. We can actually cut that a little bit lower than that. 15, 12.
Pick a number.
Have we,
Yes, sir.
before we continue on, did you look through your budget, general fund expenses?
Yes.
Did you?
Yes.
Okay, because it seems like a lot of this is just a copy from last year. You know, that's what it's coming down to, and Bill's asking questions on it, where it could be
Well, it's okay.
reduced.
I don't mind asking questions.
Oh, I'm glad you are asking questions, because when you see the same number, and then as you said, the expenses are down, you need an explanation. And then when they say, okay, you can lower it down to 15, I'm wondering, why wasn't it lowered down to 15?
Okay,
to
so
start off with?
are you comfortable with, you said 12 or 15?
Actually, I prefer, let's go 14.
Go to 14.
14.5, do I hear 14?
No, 14, stick at 14,
Okay, so 20 is gonna change to
14.
14.
Okay.
Looks to me like on that, off to the side, there's 3 quick connects at lift stations that we're probably
Yeah,
not.
is that something, what does that note go to? 3 quick disconnects at lift stations. Are we talking about, is that something that you're saying you're funding for next year?
Actually, no, what it was this year I was supposed to buy a generator, and the year before that I was supposed to buy a generator also, a little portable one. And when we were going to buy that, I wanted quick connects. That way you just
Okay,
stick
gotcha,
where you needed
gotcha,
it.
yeah.
But since we didn't do the generator, the portable one, we moved the money to the SEP instead. That way I didn't have to buy that stuff.
Okay, so now that brings a question. You were gonna buy a portable generator.
I was, yes.
You didn't buy the portable generator,
Correct.
didn't do the just quick connects. Is there a need?
I think so, yeah. It would be nice to have one, but it was easier to pay the $30,000 for the SEP as opposed to just,
Well, I got the idea that, I mean, I understand where the money went.
right. I would love to have a new generator for whatever reason. If there's an issue with power outage or whatever, it'd be nice to have one just to drag it where you needed it. Right now we use the vac truck to suck out whatever we need to that way instead of having the pumps. But it's a lot of work doing it that way, going back and forth from the wastewater plant to a lift station. It works. It's just a lot more work than actually having a generator. If we have one generator, we can put it in one lift station while the
Okay.
vac truck cleans out the other one.
Okay, I understand, and I understand that, because I do recall this conversation before.
Mm-hmm.
So my point is, are we gonna continue and correct this, get the generator and do the connects?
Well, actually, truthfully, right now,
Keep the $15,000 in there, board decision, or are we not gonna do it?
How much is generator?
48,000.
48?
100 or 1,000?
48,000. That's why I moved that money to the SEP instead, or I didn't move it. That's why I said,
Yeah, we did.
gotcha.
Well, yeah.
Actually, right now, the most important thing, in my opinion, right now is a new VACCON. You know, because we had the older one before, which we spend a lot of money into it now to get it repaired and fixed up. And the people I've talked to in the past, they said the only way to get that thing fixed now is in up north, Oklahoma, and it's no sense driving it all the way there to get it fixed, driving all the way back here to Texas. That's why I also am trying to go with something else that's right here in the Metroplex.
We'll talk about it in a while.
Correct.
So,
Thing about the quick connects on the lift stations, that's probably a vital key. If we have all of our lift stations go down, we have quick connects into them.
Yeah.
We can go get rentals.
We already have them, actually. We have some in all of them. We have them in 3, 5, 2. One already has a generator. 8 and 9, the new ones have them already.
So
They're
we-
just different ones. Like, for instance, if you have 480 coming in one lift station, well, like 2 is a 208 instead of 480.
Right.
it's just a different plug or a different switch on the generator.
Different power coming through.
Yeah, but I mean, your generator, you're gonna have to have a generator that, if
That's both.
if you're going to all of those particular sites, your generator that you purchase is gonna have to be adaptable to each one of those sites.
But
Right.
what you're saying is quick connect is different on those. Obviously, it's just like an outlet, 110, 220, 2 different outlets. Okay, so,
So,
okay, Mike, or someone, you might have mentioned renting a generator. So,
I said that
okay, so why would we spend 48,000
when you can rent one.
when you can rent one?
Because normally the problem of it is I looked into that, and it's a great idea. It's cheaper, but the problem is there's some kind of whatever.
Catastrophe where the generators are taken.
Exactly, and it happens in Fort Worth. It happens here, Roanoke, all these other places, Grapevine. Everyone's going to run to get a generator.
Right.
And it's going to be hard to actually rent one if everyone's stealing it. You know.
What I'm getting at is we don't need 48,000 now. It's good to have in case of catastrophe. but
Correct.
If we need one in a pinch, we can go rent one as long as the outage isn't area-wide.
Correct.
Okay.
So what are we putting there? We're leaving the 14,000, is that right? Are we changing that?
48,000. We're
No, in the
14,000
line for
with
just
back
generator
account.
maintenance.
Yeah, he's going, like where the quick disconnects are.
Yep.
yeah.
Changed it from 20 to 14. But Mike asked a question like, okay, are all the stations have quick disconnects?
I went brand new ones, and not all of them have
All-
it. No.
So not all of them have them. Okay, that's what Mike was
okay,
saying.
you said brand new. Do they have quick disconnects?
The new ones do. 8,
So they all don't.
4.
3 do not.
2 does. I think 7 doesn't have one. And 20. I think those are only 2. Because I know 2 has one, because that's the 208. 3 and 5 have them. 4 has a brand new one, because it's brand new. I don't think 6 has one. Lift station 6 doesn't have one either.
So we have 3 lift stations that don't have the quick disconnect.
Yeah, that's one.
Okay,
It's the old
so we
one.
have
It's
3,
208.
we have,
It's not three-phase?
Well, it's 3-phase, but it's wrong kind of energy coming in there, because it's not a 480.
okay, so we have
208.
3 that need quick disconnects still.
Yes.
Okay, is that 14,000 gonna cover putting quick disconnects on that, or you wanna put it back up to 20?
To do that, actually, put it back up to 20.
Okay, back to 20.
Back to 20.
Get it done by the end of the fiscal year.
Exactly. Can you? Can you take the money now that you still have in the budget and do it?
I shouldn't have a problem with that, no. I just gotta make
Oh, well,
sure,
do that, good point.
I have
Okay,
to call and make sure that the price is still the same, and
You earned your money
that's to
today.
have them installing it.
About that.
okay. We're dropping it back down to 14. We're gonna use the money in this year's budget to get those quick disconnects. That's a tongue
All right,
twister.
so I'm gonna remove the comment about quick connects.
Well, yeah, because it's gonna be done in this fiscal year. Just wanna add that Carmen came up with that brilliant.
Yeah. I've got the money, I can take care of it. Okay,
Okay, continue
The
on.
other reason I didn't do that is because if you have a generator, a quick connect's nice, 'cause you just plug it in.
Right.
But if you needed to, you can always just pull the wire out there and stick the wire right into the control panel. I know it's not pretty safe.
La
if
la
you're-
la la la
I
la.
I
don't
didn't
wanna
hear
that.
I didn't hear any of that.
Yeah,
No
okay.
way. Okay, 55090. 020, vehicle maintenance.
That actually was spent a lot because of a lot of stuff we're doing. We had to change tires. The vac truck had issues. The camera van had problems. We have 2, 4, 6, 5. We have 5 pieces of equipment out there that we're using that we have to change oil on them and such other stuff.
But
That's
my
why.
point is, you're at 114%, 115%, at 75% through the year. You went from 6,600 to 8,000. Is that a significant enough increase for what you've got? In other words, is 8,000 enough of an increase, or?
Well, truthfully, hopefully my plan is if we actually have 2 new pieces of equipment in there with the new backhoe already and a new VACCON, we should be fine with that kind of money. We shouldn't have to worry about PM and stuff like that. That's why it's in the capital.
The PMs ought to stay.
Well, yeah, the
Okay,
PM will
yeah,
stay,
you gotta
but
keep your
we won't have
PMs.
the issues that we had. We had a lot of the problems with the VACCON, or the VAC truck, excuse me. A lot of problems with that. That's where a lot of the money came from. And actually, he
clarify
took
with your
half of it
PMs.
also.
PM's at preventive maintenance, right?
Correct.
Good.
Those have to stay.
What did you say about half of it?
At one point, the invoice was too high,
Yeah.
and I asked Mike, and Mike took half of that invoice for me.
So it went over to the water side? Okay.
Correct.
So what
Is
you're,
that
what you're
4?
telling me is,
The VACCON?
Got vax.
Okay.
A lot of issues.
okay, electricity, which will become one of my favorite topics. That's 60020. Increase of almost $10,000 due to MBRs. Those girls are gonna be that much more expensive to operate?
Unfortunately, I couldn't tell you one way or the other on that. I do not know. Right now, we only have 1 and 2 running right now. When they're done, they're supposed to have 1, 2, 5, 6, and 3 running. So I'm thinking that it's going to take more because it's a lot more blowers that it takes to use that. At time, all we do are run 3 blowers. 3 for the digester and 1 for the aeration basin. So now we're going to run 2 per MBR. 1 in the front, 1 in the back for 1 in the front, 1 in the back for 2. So you're looking at, what is that? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 8. You're looking at 8 blowers running all the time.
But the increase in electricity could also be attributable to, you have 2 trailers out there, right? The one Joe and you are in.
Correct.
The one that Weber Cadog was in. They have 2
Oh, I
trailers,
thought he
right?
was talking about next year. Bring it up.
Well,
Well,
he's
it's,
talking
yeah.
about the percent of the budget. Do
Well,
we
I'm
need to
talking,
bring
well, I'm
that?
talking about one where it's, actually we're low right now. We're at 65% rather than 75%. So the use number, the 103, is actually low. But we were budgeted at 158 and we're going to 266. That's a significant increase. What I'm saying is, clearly you're telling me that MBR is going to be, because you're operating more blowers, is going to be more expensive.
More equipment all the way around. More
Okay,
returns, more blowers, more wastes. I mean, a lot more equipment.
Okay.
And I think it's better in this kind of issue to actually go a little higher than you know.
Okay, so let me ask you this. 266,709 isn't a round number. In other words, that doesn't look like something that was grabbed out of the air. How did you get at that?
I can answer that.
Okay.
On schedule
GFK.
GFK, we have all meters, all metered accounts listed. And the total on all wastewater meters come into that total, and then I increased it by 75%.
75%?
Yes, because we were told it could double. So I went with 75%.
Okay, wait a minute.
What could double?
Electricity at the wastewater plant because of the MBRs.
and all the equipment.
Is that what Keevan said, or who
That
said?
came from Shane,
I was talking to Shane about this.
Shane?
yes.
No.
Well,
I
actually,
don't know where he got that.
He
but
got that from
We-
me.
we
I got it
confirm-
from
we
Shane.
Him
confirm
and
that
Carl,
number.
him and Carl talked. Go ahead,
yes, I talked to Shane about this and explained to him, right now we're running so much, just with 1 and 2 running. By the time we actually have 3 more MBRs running it fully, then we're gonna use a lot of energy. And I talked to Shane about this forever, then talked to
Okay,
Renee
Sid,
about it.
can you go back to electric bills and see when we turned 1 and 2 on and see what it is increased? Use that number, percentage, and check your budget number.
Okay, see the difference in the 2 are?
Yeah, I mean, the 1 and 2's been running for a few months now.
Well, we've got that on GFK right now, if you want to go back and look at GFK. We have monthly bills presented out to it.
But
All
remember,
those are
there's,
June 17.
there's a bunch of contractors down there too.
Correct. And right now, correct me if I'm wrong, Carl, we actually have both systems running, the 2 MBRs plus your regular system right now.
Okay,
I don't
so-
know when the old system is gonna get kicked off.
Okay, so
And
here-
Actually,
all
it's still
the-
running too.
Well, I'm saying, we don't know in the future how long it's
Yeah,
gonna
but-
take until,
But can you get your delta, the difference between when you added 1 and 2 in and what it was before? To give us some idea what those trains are gonna be additional?
I could try, yeah. I think I know
We
exactly how to
can
do
do some
that.
more analysis on this and bring it back.
Okay,
Okay, let's move on.
What is the length of our current electrical contract, and how often do we compare prices?
I checked with Bob Shearing with Tradition Energy. He said our contract that we have with Hudson expires in December. And he's going to be bringing a proposal to the September meeting. He said we needed to get going with that, not wait.
I don't mind.
So he's researching right now what the best, he said Hudson may not be the best rate, so he's in process of doing that. As far as the 2 accounts we have at the wastewater plant, the MP2 and NG is the one that has the MBRs on it. I called him specifically on that this week. He said those are temporary services, and I think that one is going to replace the existing sewer meter. And he said, if we try to add that before and not take the other one off at the same time, we could get a lot of penalties and stuff because of it. So those have to stay for the time being on a temporary service.
yeah.
And he's negotiating again because the first 6-month agreement has expired. But the rates out there after you get through with your contract right now in the day-to-day is still low. So he said we haven't been impacted because of being off of that contract. But he is gonna be searching on that also to possibly switch those.
Stephen, on that sewer plan on Schedule K, there's some, and it might be because this is locked, I can't, it's password protected, but on August, I can't see the kilowatts. You can look at the screen on here and see it. This one here, this one here.
oh, you just need to
You just need to slide
hit
it
the
over.
plus side. Hit the plus
It's-
on the very bottom right.
Go up to options.
We'll just hit plus side, and you can expand it the other way.
This one?
Yeah, just hit
Yeah.
the plus button. There you go. All right, keep going until it
Yeah,
opens
no,
all
Okay,
the way up.
what, just go up the very, take your
No, you
cursor.
The
Yeah.
column isn't
Ne-
wide
ju-
enough.
Just move it out, there you go.
I got it.
There
And
you
then
go.
there's a 1, okay, you've corrected the other one. Okay, that fixed it.
Yeah, you just need to move that column out.
Tried one and thought it was password protected. Okay.
Okay, the next thing I guess, and we're gonna chase electricity down. The next thing I've got is 6010520 at the bottom, next to the bottom page, rent and lease equipment. Was 88.6, 9, looks like a 9 carry across, not used.
That was for emergencies, in case I needed something like a generator or something else along those lines. That's only for emergencies. That's why I had that there. We can actually lower that, depending on what we have to actually rent.
I'm sorry?
We can always lower that, but it always depends on what we actually need, what we need to rent.
Oh, I got that.
Yeah,
So how much can you lower it comfortably?
it depends on what we need. I mean, if we needed something,
Well, if you need more, obviously we're gonna go into reserves and get it. I mean, if you have to pull in 20 vac trucks from someplace to take care of a spill out there, which I hope
Right.
we don't, obviously I'm gonna pay for it.
Let's go with 5.
Okay?
What line code was that?
It's 60105-020.
Second from the bottom.
And then the next line down is advertising, a new item. But it shows that we spent, that's funny. Anyway, we spent $4,000 for advertising for sewer, so I strongly suspect that's for the requirement for the,
Like the wastewater
for
plant
the,
renewal.
permit renewal. Is that what that is?
Probably be more, there's gonna be more.
Yeah,
What's that?
we just did another one for the SOA.
Okay. Yeah, so that's that part of the equation then? Okay, happy. All the way to page 4. We got 628020 property maintenance at the wastewater treatment plant. We haven't used any of it. It's a straight across budgeting item that you carried. Wanted to tell me about that?
Honestly, we are not using that at all. We don't have a whole lot of, all the property is actually done from my guys. You know, we actually were gonna put that money in there for the mowing and stuff, the contract we had, but my guys just do it anyway. So we're just trying to save money that way.
Okay, so we can scratch off the proposed, we can scratch that line? Is that what you're telling me?
No, actually, I think we need that for down the road with all the buildings that we have now in there. Hopefully, like I said, they'll all be under warranty, but there's some issues that we have to clean up with our shop and the, actually just the shop. So,
Can that be reduced, or does it have to stay at 66?
it could be reduced.
I don't know how you got 6622.
Yeah.
So put maybe 4,000?
Yeah, 4,000 is fine. And I don't know why the one below that's even lower than that, 25%.
You see what I'm looking at?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're gonna
Yeah,
ask.
so now we're back to, it's mowing for lift stations. This is the contract deal,
Right.
again.
Mm-hmm.
And I know one invoice that they had never invoiced at all, which they got an email the other day, was for May. So we have a month that we haven't been invoiced for, but I think starting around May.
July's not in here either, so.
Yeah, July's not in here, but it's
Still
about
25%.
June, probably around May, June is when they start mowing a couple times a month.
Okay.
Okay, but
It's
is
like
that,
$2,600 total when they bill 2 times. It's
Okay, 2,600 a month?
the 2,600, that's getting broken out between the water
water
and
and
waste?
wastewater.
Okay.
So is that 11.6 a realistic number, or is it really high?
Well, they haven't done any of the wastewater. We've always done that
Okay.
in the last year or
For the
so.
lift stations.
Well, we have it, so why are we paying, I mean, it seems like we need to go back to them and say, you know, while the construction's going on.
The wastewater plant was never
Yeah.
included in their contract.
Okay.
This is just for
Lift
lift
stations.
stations only.
And we have 10 of them.
Yeah.
Okay. As
So,
long as it's being broken out at the end of the year, both of that should be 20-something thousand dollars, 25.
It should be our full contract
Okay,
price.
good. Okay. Next bill.
down to 65005-020 fuel and lube.
Mm-hmm.
We are at 22.95%. We were at 10, then we went to 28, and then we dropped down to 15.
Actually, I think, Renee, you want to answer this one? I don't have a clue to this one because, I mean, I know how much we spend and how much we drive, but on this one, I don't know why it's so much lower. 22.9, that's hardly anything.
Yeah, Stephen ran,
Okay,
how long? Yeah,
I can tell you, I looked at the budget last year and the way they did this. The gas prices and what they projected was extremely different. They heavily, I guess, was conservative before in the amount of miles they thought each vehicle were going to drive and what the gas prices themselves were going to be. So when I looked at it, Renee and I took it apart. They over projected, I guess, like I said, to be conservative with it. So these are more realistic numbers based on the gas prices now and what mileage we've seen in which vehicles drive. I went ahead and pulled all of the gas cards up, looked at what each vehicle is actually driving, even the vehicles are no longer with us. And this is where the projected numbers that I came up with, the more realistic numbers. Gave a little bit of inflation just in case the gas prices were to change a little bit come next year based on, elections and everything else. But this is more of a realistic number that I see that's going to happen.
Okay. Because but you see what I was looking at. When I say, look at 22.95 against 75%,
Right.
and I'm 75% done, I'm only at 6.4, then I'm probably looking at 8, maybe, 8 or 9, and yet we're budgeting 15. So that's where I was playing.
Correct.
Are we changing that number or staying
No.
with it?
We can drop it some more. It's still it's a conservative number still. I don't.
What's a real number?
I'm only going off of the number. I'm sorry.
What do you think a real number is?
I can go pull whatever the download that you did. He pulled
Listen.
actual numbers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, just
Well,
look at
actual
what.
numbers, or what's in there is spent.
If it-
right?
Well, I had it broke down between. I had it broke down which vehicle did what, how many gallons each vehicle did, and everything else there.
So you think it should
But
be
I'm only
15?
going off of one year or something. What my data was off. That's why I don't know for sure.
When
but-
if it's last year, that's sufficient. That's all you have.
Okay.
I mean, right now. So you're saying 15.
15 is still conservative. I think we can go down to 10, but 15 is still fairly conservative.
How about 12?
It's split in half, 12-5.
Thanks, Steve.
12-5? Yes?
Yep.
While we're on this part of the chart, 2 lines above that is a 60334 transfers out to the reserve account. What this amounts to is we've been budgeting, and Renee periodically transfers money over to the cash reserve. And the budget for this year is 200 for water and 200K for wastewater. I bring this up for this reason. The next regular meeting in August, we don't have an item on their agenda yet to review cash reserves. I would like to get one other board member to agree with me that we need to review cash reserves in the August meeting.
I'll agree with that.
Okay, and so if you would put that on there, and Renee has been working on a slightly different chart for cash, and I think you may conclude at the August meeting that 400K is based on where we stand on cash reserves as a percentage of incurred costs is around 23%. I think that's too low, but if we can discuss it at the August meeting.
Yeah, I think we need to have a total look at the reserves, exactly how they lay out. What's
Okay. Can we move on?
certainly.
I'm gonna leave here in a couple minutes, and based on chain of command, Bill, you would be leading the meeting. I'd recommend that, our new general manager, Carmen, run the computer and kind of go through it.
Sure.
If you don't mind.
No problem.
Does anyone else have any problem with that? To have Carmen take over, lead the meeting? Jim? Jim?
Fine.
Okay. I'll finish this thing, and then I need to get back to work, so. Anything else in wastewater?
Yeah, let's see what I've got. I
Fuel and lube,
left off
wastewater.
of fuel and lube, chemicals. The chemical cost, and that's 65030-020. Proposed, this is an interesting one, in that the 16 was 28.8, the 2018 one was 27.5. We had an intermediate between 25 and 21. Year-to-date, we're at 17.9, which is 85%. And then it says increase due to chemical cleaning. You're saying you're increasing to 27 above the 21 due to chemical cleaning of the MBR?
Actually, right now what's happening is the way that we were told or trained that we're supposed to clean these MPRs, they said all the way up to 6-month time. But right now, since I had them installed, we've been doing it every month, cleaning these. They're trying to figure out why they're having to do that, and once we figure that out, then we can move further. But right now, we're budgeting that in there in case we come down to the point where we're actually cleaning those every month, chemically cleaning those, which is necessary. I mean, it has to happen. There's no way we can make them run without cleaning them. So that's why I actually upgraded that, because of how
Okay.
much we're cleaning them.
Okay, so what you're saying is a practical experience at this point, you're cleaning them
Monthly,
monthly as opposed to every 6 months.
and there's only 2 of them.
And we're talking, okay, and there's that factor.
There's 6 of them.
Okay, we can talk about it a different time.
Okay.
Okay,
The
there's-
number's good.
You said there's
Happy.
2, but by the time the budget,
There'll be
I mean,
5
the-
when we're done.
5 when it's done.
Mhm.
But there's only 2 in operation that you're cleaning, right?
Uh-huh.
So this is
Lot.
for next year, which there should be 2 more online.
Well, what I'm hoping happens is when they actually figure out what the problem of it is,
Okay.
we don't have to worry
okay,
about
it'll
that.
balance out. Okay, got it.
And if it doesn't, then then the 27.5 is not going to be enough, correct?
Well, we can actually pull back on other stuff
Well, if it
that we
doesn't, we
have.
have more serious problems
Yes.
that the system isn't working as advertised.
Yeah, okay. I don't, okay, I'm down on, and we may get, when we get it back into capital outlays. 135-69005-020 capital outlays. Proposed is 657. And I went back to GFOA and added the numbers up back there, and I come up that 657 is $77,000 over what's back on GFA.
My formula must be wrong.
Something's,
And I didn't add these up.
Capital, for expense for.
Well, GFA, I added up all those amounts on GFA, and it's 1,403,000. And I assume that's split between water and wastewater. So what you have on wastewater, capital outlays is
Yeah, you get beat.
657.
25 each.
yeah, it's the, yeah, it's,
I've got the 77 in there twice.
oh, solved that one.
Yep.
So the 657 is gonna drop by
$580.
$77,000.
140.
It's going to drop by 581.40.
So it becomes 580. It comes out to 580,140.
That's my number.
Yep.
Good number.
That came off of GFA.
Yes.
Well, 77 came off of
My formula on the general column there in that cell, I had the 77 in there twice.
Okay, so the 657,240, what's the new number?
580,140.
And that agrees with what's back on GFA.
Okay, is that the only last one in that topic?
Yeah, I'm down to board of directors.
Okay, it is 250, and I'm gonna turn the meeting over to Carmen. And it'll be down to 3 directors. Glenn, but I gotta go back to work. I got
I
meetings.
think he meant to Bill.
What?
Turning it over to me. He's gonna run the
Yeah,
computer.
Turn it over to you, and then
Okay.
as suggested earlier, Carmen.
He can handle the fine line out there.
Are we going to eventually talk about GFA as we go through the pages?
I wanna go through the
Because I
pages.
got a couple questions on it.
Okay, yeah, we'll go through the GS, walk through each page. I mean, we refer to them now, but then, yeah, I want to go through the pages also. Okay, and obviously, if anybody else has got anything, please chime in. The Board of Directors, what do they have on that?
We're so cheap, it's hardly worth mentioning.
Yeah, I can take, well, I know some of us haven't traveled. I mean, I know that the old board hasn't traveled as much as I expect the new board will after bringing them on board, so I guess probably leave that stuff as it sits. I got admin, down on admin now.
Question, Bill.
Sure.
Renee, why do we no longer have wages, salaries, Medicare? Why do we even show those accounts?
Because there were prior years with numbers, that's the only reason I left it there.
'Cause I know, yes, zeros.
In the 2016 column, there was numbers.
Okay.
That's the only reason I left them.
Will there be a point in time when you'll drop
Next
it?
year.
Because
That'll drop it,
Yeah.
because 2016 will drop
Next year.
next year,
And then
next
we'll-
year's budget, and then all of those lines will come off
Okay.
in the budget.
I do have, thank you for bringing that back up, Jim. I do have one question up there, 500-45026, workman's compensation for directors.
Yes, that is actually listed in the TML, I guess if y'all were to fall in here when you're at a meeting or something, but it's only like $32 a year.
Okay. But even though we're no longer salaried or salaried, okay,
Yeah, you're still listed under our TML.
okay,
I mean, it specifically says elected officials.
okay, okay. Salaries and overtime, that's back to GF, gonna need to go back to GFH, so if we're gonna walk through those schedules when we get there, I'll come back to that at that point.
What line are you on, Bill?
I'm on, first one in the admin.
Salaries and wages.
Yeah, salaries and wages, I'm not sure that that's correct, but we'll get it when we get back to the schedule. Overtime, wondering if you've cut the overtime down to 1,500 from 2,500, which was an amendment. We're at 131%. Is that enough overtime for admin? Or should that be a little bit more?
Part of this falls into when we had no general manager and administration manager, or Stephen wasn't here, and it was,
Okay, so you think that the 1,500 is appropriate number? Staff.
I think during Waterfest, I don't know if we will continue with Waterfest next year, but I know Michelle had a lot of overtime. We had a lot of mail-outs we had to do with winter averaging, and so there was a lot of overtime that way. There's always a little bit up front because of coming in early to get the doors open, getting set up and going, but I don't know.
We've got that fixed a little bit. We redid the schedules a little bit. The only thing I worry about as far as the overtime is because we are gonna have some new staff in, new training, could require some. It's not gonna be a significant amount to really make that much difference. I don't think it's gonna be, you're looking extremely higher like it is now. It won't double like it is now. If you wanna be conservative, 2,000 might be.
Let's go to 2,000.
Okay.
That's all I have on page 4. Anyone else have anything on page 4? On page 5, employee relations. Once again, we had the discussion on that at the very, 570-030, and we've had the discussion on how the other events play into the admin section on that. I've got down on 55080-30, maintenance and repairs. We've gone from 16 at 6.2 to a budget of 7, amended down to 2, proposed back to 14. We've used 41%. So how did we get to 14?
Building maintenance merged, because we moved building maintenance 55-100 to this number, so we merged two different.
Okay. But you would take 7 plus 2 and get 9. Under the amendment, number 1 would have been 7 plus 2. I see though in 2016, that would be 7 and 6, which would be 13. So
100. We spent 6.
my question is, we've dropped from 7 to 2. And we are below the 2 on that line. So why do we need to increase it back to 6? Give it a credit of 6 or 7.
Well, the other one is, we were at, what was it, 6 something?
6, 8, and 16.
100, 59.72.
Yeah. I can,
6,000,
Some of that
9,000, no, I'm in the wrong place.
I don't have a problem with the 7,000 as it relates to the building maintenance and supplies and bringing that up. I mean, that's very realistic. I mean, you're already over that at 85% of where you plan to be now. So, I mean, that number would make it a little bit low.
Okay,
but
so
when
what do
you-
you want to make it?
Well, I'm looking at, when you look at the maintenance and repair side of the equation, coming across, are you going to come across with 6 or 7, or are you going to come across with 2? So is it 2 plus 7, 8? Is it 10, or is it 14?
We can make it 10 and hope that we don't have any major AC problems. This place is notorious for AC problems.
Oh, AC.
Which line is
But-
that, Bill?
I am looking at
share with the town right now.
Well, it won't-
55080030.
Maintenance and repairs.
Yeah.
The building maintenance right now is shared with the town also,
So that will
so
all-
You suggest I take the 14
that's
to
gonna
10?
go away.
Because they won't have part of this
Yeah,
building.
they won't be
They're
sharing it.
charged per square foot right now.
Okay. So that in
So
itself
we're
would be a
gonna-
valid
we're
reason to
gonna
go it
be
up.
looking at-
Okay,
The
so
offices.
in your notes, could you make a note about loss of town percentage or
Okay.
something?
Are you taking the 14 to 10?
No, I'm gonna leave it. And the reason for leaving it is because we'll be losing our renters at the other end of the hall, and they're a percentage of the operation costs.
Okay.
So I would say our costs are gonna go up from that perspective personally. Professional outside services, that is 55160030.
That number, let me finish this.
Okay.
Over here, just a second. Professional outside
That's M3.
services. Yeah, M3 is 51.
Okay, my concern is if you're at 57.3 and 95%, that's at the 75% point?
They bill yearly, don't they?
Yeah, they
I'm-
bill like in October, we pay that up front.
Okay,
So,
The bulk of that.
yeah, the majority of the 51, we pay like in October. The only additional things they would bill us for is if we got like new computers or,
so,
we're paying an email, license fee monthly, something minimal.
so what you're saying is you're comfortable with the 63,325?
I think so.
Okay, that was, I mean, I was just concerned about the percentage sticking out there.
And I talked to M3, and they're gonna keep their prices the same, so we're not looking at, there's a small, I think I did, did we do 10% on that one? No, okay. So, yeah, so everything looks fine on there. Should be
Okay.
good.
Happy?
Yeah, we're good.
Happy?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Telephone, that's 60005-030 telephone.
That's gonna be because of
The town.
the shared with the town,
Okay,
and we're gonna be taking over the telephone system all by ourselves there.
okay.
And that probably is not gonna happen for a while. I know the town is going to be forwarding their phones for a while until they get all of their new numbers and the community advised of their new numbers. So,
They're looking at moving in September, October, they're gonna be in. So you're saying after October, they'll
it's gonna be-
continue?
I was told by, Mike Pastor that probably around a 3 to 6 month time period before that happens.
Okay.
Wow.
Mayor announced in today's paper that it was October move-in.
Okay, so we were running at 17.5, and we're proposing at 27.3. And we're at 51.5% of the budget. So, does that all balance out? I mean, we're up 10,000. We're up 10,000 on proposed cost, and yet we're at 51%, we're down 25% of where you'd think we would be on phones.
Where does the
So the
charge for
17 is half, huh?
where does the charge for the answering service go?
Telephone. Yeah, we have telephone, we have the wastewater phones are hitting this line. Any telephones, actual telephones.
Let me go
is
back to
hitting this
GFL.
line.
Yeah, GFL, they have a breakdown of
Okay.
the telephones themselves.
Okay, so when I looked at GFL, if you rolled a GFL.
Right.
My question on that page is, what changed?
Let me pull up, let me pull up last year so I can compare real quick.
I got STW annual support at 29,000. Is the big one on the page, but I mean, if you want to come back to that, if you want to do that and bring it back next time we meet,
He's
that's
almo-
fine.
He's almost there.
I'm
Oh,
looking at
okay.
it right, yeah, but just give me. All right, as far as last year, there was 15,032, so we had 16, let's see, open up those screens here. So we had 6,000 in the main number, which would be main number long distance, 50% shared. One of the things we looked at here is a long distance difference between us, as far as what telephone use we would use versus having the town there. Because they naturally have more employees, is a little bit different as far as 50% share. So we take the total bill and, we did a 50% share, but they use obviously a little bit more
Sure.
based on employee size and what they call. So we went from 6,000 to 10,002. The answering service,
To 10,002, because we're saying they're going to be gone, but we're going to have less use, but still our cost is going to be greater.
correct.
Got
Because
it.
it's no longer 50% share, but our costs will go down a little bit.
Yeah, got it.
So it's not quite at double. As far as repairs, let's see, where's that?
Repairs.
We had 5784 budgeted for the wastewater treatment and phone service, where our phone service is a little bit bigger now. We added 4 temporary phones, office phones in there now, so that's increased on the wastewater side.
Those are temporary phones that'll be going away?
Well, no, they're temporary. They're going to be permanent once everything completely goes up. He's got 4 brand new lines over there right now.
Okay.
One is going to be an alarm system for the SCADA,
Okay,
and then there's 3 office phones in there. One for his office, one for the conference, and one for the lab, I believe. Okay.
okay.
So that's the new. So that one increased a little bit. That increased about 2,000, a little less, about 1,800. Then we have the phone system, which was shared. The maintenance that doubled, and so did the repairs. That doubled. So it's not quite an even, 3,000 or basically
Okay.
double amount, but it's pretty close
And the reason the maintenance and the repairs doubled were,
because they're no longer shared. We're now
Gotcha.
going to have to take the whole bill on.
okay. So that's, once again, That's the reason for the increase is the loss of the sheriff from the town.
Correct.
Okay, if,
We'll
note
note
that,
that,
yeah,
sir.
that'd be good.
And it's not a full 50% increase, Bill. It's
Yeah.
taken down from 34 to 27.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I said, we didn't think the bill's gonna go down, even though we're gaining the whole bill. The bill will go down slightly is what we predicted.
okay. Okay, I got it. Then we have the, once again, we've talked generally about electricity. I've got the electricity, same question there again. I've got on 6050-030, bad debt expense. We've been carrying 3,500 across, and it turns out to be 527.
We had a collection service that required us to write off bad debt before they would collect on them.
Okay,
However, they were not real successful. So Nicole reviews that quarterly.
okay, so are we saying we still need to plan on writing off $3,500 of bad debt, or are we thinking that something like
It could be,
1,500 is a more,
I think it could be less.
okay,
I
like
mean, we
what?
stay on top of it with our disconnects a month earlier than what they used to be. You know, that helps.
Okay. Give me another number, please.
I'm gonna find it, Bill.
60050-030.
50, okay. I would say 15's good. Let's go
Okay.
with that.
What, Renee?
15.
1,500.
I had one on, but I want to let it go, but I want to make mention of it. 60066-030, publications, books, and scripts. We haven't, we're 20% on that. I found, and this is just a general overhead comment, that when I tried to do some research, finding AWWA manuals and stuff like that, I think we could probably expend these funds wisely and have that information available for the staff. So just a general heads up on that one.
I think on the subscriptions that we've been buying, the standards on WWA standards has been being expensed to water
Okay?
instead of admin. So I left that alone because I wasn't sure what Jennifer was, you know, if there was something specific that she had that for.
Okay, and that's quite a ways back, so I don't know if Carmen has anything.
I do.
Go ahead.
I think we ought to purchase the AWWA salary comparison model. Comes
Okay.
out in a book, and that was discussed in last year's budget session, although the staff has not taken any action around salary surveys for a variety of reasons.
So basically, I think we're talking about leave it where it's at. Is that enough to get us where we're
I
headed?
think we can make that closer to 100%
Okay,
in the next 3 months.
okay. Good. Meetings is a little number there. Okay, public education, and I'll bring this back up only because Renee mentioned it. 60079-030, public education. We basically run 8.7 and went to proposed of 8.8, but we're running at 56%. And we talk about educational materials for Waterfest. So where are we at on that, Renee?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, we've done Waterfest now, I think, 4 years, well, since Jennifer came. And if we have additional classes in, we did have an extra class in here for sprinkler systems or something. So if we do more of those, we usually code that here. But a lot
Okay.
of the people that come in, the Texas AgriLife that came in and did some of that, they don't charge us. So So I don't know, that may be a little high. You know, we try to do Waterfest, we try to get donations and stuff, but you never know for sure what all we're gonna have to pay out. We've been lucky with In and Out and some of the other vendors that have, you know, donated or helped us there. So, I don't know, maybe since we're at 5, maybe drop it to 6.
Okay.
You're saying drop
Public
that,
education?
you're saying drop 88 to 6?
Yep.
Public education down to 6. The next one down, schools and training. I know Manning has been tight, so that may be a reason for schools and training being down. I'm at 60080-0380. But we're down a lot, so we were originally at 3.3 and we went to 7.8, left it there through the amendment and proposed you're down a couple $100, but you're using, I mean, are you down where you should be, or are you not using what, I mean,
Terry?
I like my staff trained, so.
Terry was CPA. She liked to go to a lot of different things. She's no longer here. The training that we have in this right here, the majority of it was Stephen, myself, and Shane went to PFIA training at COG. Jim Hayes went, I don't know, I think I put that in 26. But so there wasn't a lot this year. We have budgeted next year. Stephen wants to go to GFOA, and he wants to get certified, the GF, what is it? The certification, the accounting certification,
And when you get
government
GFOA,
finance officer's certification or
okay,
whatever. it
and when
is.
you get GFOA qualified, I want to see a GFOA budget award, and a CAFR, and a PAFR. Okay?
We'll go back on that.
He may reconsider his training, but I'd like to see all those things. Okay, so we leave the training then where it's at, okay?
Good.
Elections, 6011530. Last election cost us roughly $3,000. We'll only have one election that I know next year. Wouldn't that be right?
Yeah.
So, do we need to budget 7,500, or can we take that down to, say, 4,500 and feel comfortable?
No, we need to leave it because we'll have to run, the publications will be different. This last year we had
Okay?
a bond election, so that's why the cost was lower. So if we go back, what was it, 2 years ago?
36. Oh, back beyond 16?
Yeah,
You want me to look in? Oh, my- I'm still
75.
quarterly.
Close me down.
it was 75, right?
Yeah, we were 75 this year, and we proposed 75 for next year.
2016 actual was 3610.
Yeah.
You want to look at, so 18, so it would have been 14 when we had the mud.
No, we had one
Or
in
d-
16 because we had,
Oh, that's right, every 2
but,
years.
because I'm just thinking I thought I had to do an early posting then, because it's the publications that'll run it up. I mean, I think then maybe we just add a little bit to it. Let's just make it like 4,000, because we need to include a little bit, because Denton County informed us they're gonna upgrade their equipment.
Let's go to 45.
Yeah, with all that hoopla from last year, everybody informed us they're gonna upgrade, so,
45?
yeah, I think that's good.
Anybody else? That advertising, the next line down, is that advertising for elections? That's, I'm sorry, 60125-030, advertising. was 1,500, went to 75, carried it across to the amendment, and then carried it line item across to 75. We're at 22%, call it 1.7, so that looks pretty high.
Part of that is also advertising for employment.
Okay,
Star Telegram's very expensive.
okay,
And we get TML, and then we do Star Telegram as the two things that we do for employment-wise that we pay for.
okay.
I mean, it could be high.
How much high?
I don't know, I just brought it forward.
I mean, as far as the posting, we're looking probably roughly 600, plus if we do Star Telegram again, which is another 600, so about 1,200 more additional, which I probably will do here soon because we have some positions opened up right now.
Okay, but that would be this year's budget, which would take the 16 up 12, which is good. Let's say it's up to 3.
Okay.
So advertising
So 35, call it.
4.
4.
What about you, Lori, with what you have to
Right.
post?
Okay,
That stuff actually gets coded too, like, I mean, I put it in
That goes
elections.
in elections.
And then like, anything that's TCEQ goes into whatever it's related to. I don't ever.
that
put down.
that was back under wastewater, advertising a separate line item.
And if it's, you know, a bid, an RFQ or something like that, I mean, that's the way I
Okay,
code it.
okay, so, and we've been doing some of that. So,
2,000,
oh, I think,
25?
I think
Do I hear 30?
I would say 3 is probably,
3? Okay.
Money.
I would think 3 would probably be generous. 25 may have been a right number.
25.
Let's leave it at 25.
Okay,
25 is the right number.
all right, 25 is the new number. Carmen, at any point you see me doing something here, you go, wait a minute, just throw a rock this way and say, duh. Okay, just stop me.
All right, well, under miscellaneous expenses and GM discretionary, I'd
Yeah.
recommend you leave that the same because I don't even know what it is yet.
Basically, it would, okay. And you saw it coming, I can explain it.
Well, go ahead, because that was my question, is what is it?
Yeah,
I feel like we talk about that every year.
yeah, go ahead.
Never remember what
It
it
it is like instantaneous cash for the GM to use where you don't have to come back to the board or chase a line item to try and get it. I mean, it's like I'm going into that and I'm going to get it. Now, how it ever got to be 17.5, I don't recall. But that's basically, and I don't know if any of the staff remembers what it was about, but it was like,
Emergency.
it's an emergency type fund,
I think we ought to leave that one there.
okay?
Pull those if there's ever an emergency.
Yeah, he's looking
No,
away.
before we just jump off that,
Okay.
my question was 5448,
Mhm.
of which we've spent 76 so far this year. Why does it need to be so high? I agree, I absolutely agree, funds have to be there, but 17.5 seems way out of whack with what we've been
If you
doing.
have to
It's an
pull an
emergency.
emergency truck, if you have to pull in potable water from another town, the general manager needs to have the funds available to do that. It's
ready
considered a
cash.
contingency fund in case there is an emergency. The board can't get together. The general manager needs to have the funds available to pull together emergency
I'm
services.
not disagreeing with that at all.
Right, I think that's what has always been said is to configure the
Yeah,
cost.
not
to
disagreeing with
pull
that at all,
in.
I'm just questioning, the actual was 5448, and we're jumping it over 3.5 times. Why?
Because Jennifer configured in the cost to pull in, like I said, trucks with water, emergency funds to bring up, put up, what if we had something happen to an elevated? If you don't have time to pull a meeting together for the board to approve expending funds, those funds are available.
Okay, we got 3 hours to get a board meeting if it's an emergency, so, I mean, we can do that type of thing,
Some
but.
type of a catastrophe.
Yeah, it's like having.
It's a
Came
3
from-
hours.
She came
It's-
from Hurricane
Yeah, I know,
Ike and
I
all
know,
that.
but
so
my
always
point
over.
is,
She learned the hard way.
if it's an emergency, we can have a board meeting in 3 hours.
Right.
That requires 3 hours notification, and we can have a board meeting. So,
Well, again, that's why I was questioning why it's so high.
Yeah.
We're trying to get this budget closer to realism, And he's gotta have money. I
Okay.
don't disagree with that at all. I'm just thinking 17.5 may be kinda escalated.
You have a big number, you have a big number. Do you have another number?
Well, I mean, you can make up a number, throw $10,000 out there. I mean, he's gotta have something.
I think to some extent that's exactly what's reflected here is a made-up number.
Yeah, exactly.
So I like the idea of putting that as a general manager contingency as opposed to miscellaneous expenses and discretionary funding. So it sounds like it's,
A title.
yeah,
Yeah.
the title in the box sounds a little too liberal to me. Even given that, I have not looked at the procurement policies and guidelines for the general manager. Do I have a limit that's above or below this number? I mean, if it's in the budget, am I limited to
Budget.
a certain number? I mean, that's been the case everywhere I've worked where, you know, if it's in the budget, you can spend up to X amount without going back to the board. I don't know if I have one of those here. I haven't got that far into it yet. Does anybody know?
I think-
Jennifer had one.
I,
She had an amount she could spend without having to come back to the board.
Okay, is it in writing or was it just,
I don't know, I think it would be either in your contract, and that's why we're taking the policies off of this month.
What, the number 25,000 sticks in my head is, did Jennifer have ability?
25,006 in my head too.
She
Is
has-
you know anything about that, Renee?
She has like a large amount on her P card that she was able to use.
I believe it was 25,000.
Exactly
We just
25.
pulled
Was it
that
25?
information.
Yeah,
I
it's
think that's what
25
it
even.
was. The 25,000 was on her P card. On this, the 60245 number is actually in other departments is miscellaneous expense. So, I would like to leave that line as miscellaneous and we'll change it to whatever, $100 or whatever, and then create another number for the
the contingency? like that?
contingency.
Yeah, I
Just
think
bring it
it's,
in right under that, maybe 60246 or something like
Okay.
that with the contingency and separate them. That way it keeps the miscellaneous expense the same across all departments.
okay.
I think that GM discretionary, you could say 25,000, you could say 17,000, you could say 10. It's a wild ass guess is what it is.
It's a wag, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna leave it at 17.5, but you're gonna put in another line that's, we're gonna change the description. I'll put another line in.
So can we just do 500 on that one and 17 on the
And
other?
the
Is that what you wanna do?
miscellaneous, but maybe 17 in the
17,000.
contingency and 5 in the miscellaneous, how's that?
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Okay. Been at this when we get to 2.5 hours, we get to take a break.
I
I'm-
recommended a moment ago that we do it at the end of this page.
Oh, well, okay.
Good, Jim.
I'm at uniforms, 65010030 uniforms. And my question here is, I guess we've dropped it down. GFF.
We haven't actually purchased them yet.
My question is, I don't know that staff wears uniforms. I mean, I think around and think back. Staff, admin staff. They have staff in their individual line items. I think I'm in general fund admin, I believe.
Yes,
Yeah.
there is no uniform, so to say, correct.
We used to budget for all employees in admin for shirts. And me personally, I loved them when I first got them, but after they were laundered, they shrunk up. The length of them shrunk up, and I quit wearing them. So I believe there were 3 people that wanted shirts, so this number is less than what we
Is this where
normally
you,
budget.
is this where you paid for the T-shirts we used at Waterfest?
No.
No, that's a different, that's a different.
That was
Should-
under
This
the,
is
should be
for the
Waterfest.
staff to have polos similar to what Mike's wearing.
Okay.
For the staff that wants to wear them there. Really, the main thing, like right now for this year, and I talked to our staff now, is to order jackets, to use it until we can have jackets that have the logo for the mud logo. It's obviously summertime right this second, so it's not the
Okay,
ideal
I
time,
got it.
but we haven't purchased them yet for
Okay,
this one.
And
so
then
we have
this
gone
is-
down on that, yeah.
Mud Director T-shirts are also in there,
Well, I have director's shirts.
Director shirts. So I don't know
It
if
says,
that's
it says
T-shirts or-
two, it says director's shirts, two for $35. So anyway, I've been here a little over a year, I still don't have a shirt, let alone two, so I was gonna reduce the director's shirt from 2 to 1.
Okay.
Maybe I'll get one next year.
Well, we talked about too, when I think we were talking about maybe in May, I guess, how we're gonna do it, the order after everything's said, I don't know how we wanna do it, but if you wanna do it like in May, when the new directors are coming, that we have.
I mean, I have some war story wasting time, from on the town council, I have some very nice, Land's End, button-down collar, long sleeve, Town of Trophy Club shirts. But I don't
One
want,
in my closet. You're
yeah,
right.
so anyway, but moving on.
Are we leaving it?
So are we gonna drop that to one?
If you would just take, any director object to only getting one shirt? No,
Okay, so we'll change that.
like wear one to get one and wear it to the
Not gonna
AWBD
700.
meeting.
So what are you gonna adjust it to?
700?
Total will be 700, Jim.
Let that be the smallest change I make. Hardware, this is okay, GFL, hardware, the next one down, 65055-030, hardware IT. It went to 0. See schedule GFL.
I think there wasn't, M3 did not budget anything under hardware.
That's for as replacing of the hardware. We have nothing, there was nothing there. What we did last time would be if I'm mistaken, the new server, whenever we split the servers with the town.
Yep.
And that's where those would have went. Where this year, we don't have anything that we're looking at.
Okay, it just looks, it looks really strange.
Like server room kind of hardware, stuff like
Okay.
that. Our stuff is fairly new, so we're not projecting to replace anything right now.
Okay,
Now, that's not personal computers or anything like that, though.
that's someplace else.
Correct.
Okay. Office supplies are 48, office supplies, you're at 48% at, call it 4.4, and we've got a straight budget line item across there of 9,000. It was 56 before. So my thought is, unless you know some kick up on office supplies, that could come down some.
I usually order folders and boxes for, at the end of the year for the new year coming, but it's not anything, it's not a whole lot of money, so I would say maybe drop that to 6,500, 7, 6, something like that.
Okay? Pick a number.
Let's go with 7.
I would concur.
7 and
7.
7. 9 to 7.
Next one down is printer supplies and maintenance. That is really down. And
The printer, ink, we have some in storage for, because we never know when so we have one in storage for each printer. So we're okay right now. So, I mean, like my personal printers, I have a check printer and, a regular printer, and I think I've had it forever. And they've only changed the cartridges once. So, that's a toss-up, because you don't know.
1,500?
The big copier is
Yeah.
part of the lease, so we don't pay anything for that one.
okay,
Were Mike and I for a couple of years now have been supposed to get our own printers. We still share the one in the hall. and remember we kept giving them up. Where would that go?
I guess that would be in the IT budget. See, this is, says supplies and maintenance. So I think that would be in the,
Well, actually, we're gonna go back on this hardware. Go back up to hardware.
on the IT one,
Yes,
GF,
because it's missing from our
uh-oh,
formulas here.
Where's it
So
at?
hardware
Oh,
does
yeah.
need to get changed.
oh, okay.
Bill was correct.
Hardware does not have anything?
No, we didn't bring across the, last year we did the 8244, which was brought up from the docking stations, the monitors, the mouse, the keyboard, and the laptops. That will have to be readjusted. It's right here.
So you gonna work that and bring it back?
I will need to bring that one back. I know, that's missing.
It's gonna
We
come up
add
with
2
something.
printers to that.
Oh, okay.
Say what?
So printers will be on there.
Printer supplies?
I can, no,
Okay.
that's under hardware.
Oh, okay.
Technically, it's under it would be under the communication mobiles, but it's under the hardware section.
Okay.
So if we do a printer, yes, that'd be on there, and so that's something we'll have to go back and readjust that.
Okay.
We'll go on that.
Well, okay, I'll talk to you about that after.
So hardware.
I can give you
okay,
mine.
On IT.
I'll have to have to replace mine.
Well, I do records and stuff. I need a nice one.
Oh, you don't mind.
Need something that'll print out 50 pages.
Okay.
I want staff support. So what about the printer supplies and maintenance? We're gonna leave that at 2, or we're gonna drop it down to 15? What are we gonna do?
Gonna go back, we'll go back.
Here's
Okay.
supplies.
Is supplies on that same thing?
Yeah, I'm showing
that what
toner.
Bob
It's
did?
toner and cartridge. No, he didn't do it. It's toner and cartridges is what we have on there. This is. If I'm understanding right, she buys a few at a time. So depending on how quick we go through the toners and cartridges that aren't under a lease program, is how quick we use them. As far as my understanding, I know mine needs one, so it doesn't take long to start adding up once you start buying a few toners. That's kind of where we're at. I think they just bought a big enough supply last time where they didn't need as many this year going
Okay.
through.
So what you're saying, leave it?
I would leave it to be safe.
Okay. The next one that I have is 65-105-030 printing. We had 48, then we dropped it down to 25. We're proposing 48. We're at 2,300, but we're at 93.24%, which tells me right straight out that the 25 was not the right number. So is 48 the right number, or do we need to be somewhere in the area of 4,000?
A lot of
what's
that
the percentage?
depends on mailings, if we
Mhm.
go out. Mike, is the CCR, is that that's an admin thing, isn't it? It's not, does it hit water?
Who pays for it?
I don't think it hits water.
You know, I was thinking that
I
hit
don't know because I
admin.
don't actually code that.
I'm pretty sure that hit admin. But a lot of that has to do with if Data Pros prints for us. I mean, sometimes we copy the stuff and take it to them, but sometimes they will, if they
Okay.
do printing for us, then we have to pay them outside.
So do you want to stick at the 48, so you
The other one's
want to go
Logan
back to the 48 that we had?
Logan Graphics.
Logan Graphics?
Yeah, that's what we did in
What that
15
was
with
for.
those.
I think
We
that
need
was
to
the
go.
CCR
We need
that
to
we
go.
used.
I'm looking at the last several years, and we're well in the 3,000, 3,500 range every year for the last 3 years.
Okay,
So, yeah, 25 definitely was not the right one. So I mean, we can knock it down to a little bit, but like you said, with the printing thing, we're not sure exactly where we're going to be at.
if I went down, I wouldn't go down
35.
less than 4.
So
Yeah, it was
four.
at 4. If I was saying, if we
I would
went
go to
down.
4.
Four.
Okay. Got this capital outlay one here that I didn't tag. GFA. Okay, the GFA capital outlets, or capital outlays. Okay, $13,000, that's for agenda software, right?
Yes.
That's all you've got going in there now?
Yep.
No other capital outlays for the admin area?
No, sir.
Okay.
Now, there's one other thing that's, we will have to accrue a cost, we don't know the price on yet, is when the town and us separate, is the hardware and the system for the, key cards. We will have to buy a few more, depending on how the door system works out there, we might have to buy a few more of the keypads. Don't have exact cost on what because it's an older system, what exactly we're gonna be looking at doing that.
Can we use their system? I mean, I'm not sure, okay,
We're gonna use their
Make-
system that's there right now,
okay,
but if you look at where my office is at, which is the door right between where we are and where they are,
Been there.
unless we want to, there's no keypad to go into our offices, only
Oh.
to get into the building. But
Okay.
now the building, if it's split, what's gonna happen, exactly how the two buildings
yeah,
split
because
up.
if the two buildings split, it would be the door, as you come out your door to the right, would be the one that needs the security system.
Correct, or we just lock it manually, that's something we've been looking into, that might incur a cost. If we want to do another keypad there on that door, we'd have to buy another one, and we have to buy there's a kind of a remote receiver on it,
Okay,
because we're full with all the other ones that we
okay,
have.
so do you want to fund that, or you want to,
If that's, capital outlay has to be 5,000 or higher, I don't think that's gonna be like that,
I
is it?
don't have a cost for, I don't know.
okay.
No.
Let's-
Okay.
so, le-
It probably falls into this bucket. One of the notes I had made, discuss overall is, with the town moving out, they maintain, to my knowledge, 2 video cameras. They have one on the very back door, and they have one on the side entrance door. We've talked in the past about security for our employees, and about, Carmen, about putting a camera in the parking lot as well. We have one over in the water plant. But to my knowledge, we do not have one covering the parking lot. I believe we do have one covering this front door, do we not? But
don't know.
my point is this,
I
when
don't
you're looking
believe
at
Well, there's one
capital,
inside covering the front door, I don't know if there's one outside, right?
well, I don't see anything anywhere in the budget at all for consideration of the fact that when the town leaves, we've got security cameras we've gotta take over. And when I talked to Mike Pastor, gosh, last year about it, they are very old and very antiquated, and they're running it on dime store software. I mean, it literally is the poor man's version. To that extent, I had gone at AWBD to one of the vendors who, for free, will come and do a video security analysis. So, matter of fact, he's the guy that came up and helped us with the water plant and the sewer plant 2 years ago. He's willing to come back again at no charge. So I just think some funds, we need to be thinking about that, because I do believe we're gonna have some video camera cost.
Okay, I think that gentleman you're talking about did come last year.
Right.
Up here for us, when we were talking about all the different things. We have 60,000 in this year's budget for security, the current year,
Okay.
that we have not spent anything on.
okay.
Okay, so it's carried in security and not here.
Right.
Because it looked to me like it'd be a capital outlay if you're gonna buy over $1,000 worth of cameras.
It's
It's
per camera.
security.
It's per item.
Oh, okay.
Has to, your whole project may be
And where is this?
10,000, but if you've got 50 things worth,
I'm with you. Where's the line
Whatever.
item you're talking about, security?
It's gonna be,
Security?
numbers 135-602-35030,
602,
602-35030.
yeah,
Got
we
it.
have it in this year
Right
under.
above what we just did, the
capital.
miscellaneous
Yeah.
expenses and GM discretionaries, right above that.
so the $2,700, will you think will cover all of that?
We had the $2,700 in there is for that control system where we're thinking that it might, but without the cost of the keypad.
Well, let me just ask the question again, is if we do in fact,
Those
Determine
are-
we've gotta have-
Those are non-capital. Didn't you say there was a $60,000 item?
yeah, that's
This
what I'm looking
year's
for.
Well, they're
This
not,
year's budget, I think it's in capital, the
in capital?
security, because it's not here under security.
So there are
it's
funds
gotta
we
be
have
in
not
capital
spent yet that could be used.
In 2017.
Renee?
I'm sorry,
There are funds that we have currently that have not been used.
yes.
Let me pull up the last year's capital.
And have not been repurposed to
Because
the best of our
Carmen, when they
knowledge.
bail out, that stuff's gotta be replaced probably with.
Yeah, there was 60,000 for
we got
security
all
system
bumpers
in the
done.
current year.
Yeah.
Capital outlays
60,000 this year.
in the current year that we have not spent anything on.
Okay.
Good.
So what happens, if we anticipate that, just because it sounds like they're delaying their move out, so they're not gonna be out in this fiscal year.
No, fiscal, yeah. They've announced they're moving in October.
So what, do capital items, once they get budgeted in capital under our financial models, persist past the fiscal year? Or do you have to renew them in the
If they
next?
begin, if, say, a
Project
project
starts.
begins, then it becomes construction in progress and in the fixed assets, and then we will roll that amount forward into the next year,
So Renee,
unspent.
we could
if
technically
it
go
did-
into our September meeting and approve expenditure of video and still be,
And move that 60,000
Let
forward.
us take that under consideration, see if we can get an item together.
Okay, good plan. All right. The only other thing I have on that page is legal, non-departmental legal.
Okay, I added that this year. Normally, legal goes in non-departmental. And this year, if I would have put the full 500,000 under taxes, wow,
Exactly.
the tax rates would have gone up. We would have had to raise rates. So I put 250 under taxes, and I moved 250 under general fund for water and sewer rates, because we're looking at least 500,000
with this issue
Potentially.
with the TCQ.
with Weber
Oh, right.
and the TCEQ thing. So that was the only way I needed to do that. That way we could, and that really doesn't include Tony's fees. I mean, because the 500 is kind of up in the air, but I just did 500.
But this does, I mean, originally, this does include Tony, right? Non-departmental
No, I
legal?
don't think so.
Renee,
I was quoted that, from Tony, that 500 is probably what minimum we're looking at.
But wait a minute, go back.
Okay.
Non-departmental legal,
Right.
where is the MUD's attorney carried?
Normally, he's carried in non-departmental.
Which is right here.
Right.
That's what we're at, legal.
Okay.
So we had 150 budgeted for that, okay? So what I'm saying is the 150 also included in the 250 or not?
Should it be 400?
If we put 400, we're gonna raise our rates.
Oh, okay, so let's go back to the
Okay,
original, let's
let
go
me-
back to the original point.
exactly the note I had.
Here, the original point is that we're gonna talk about our costs.
Right.
Once we get our costs, then we're gonna determine how those costs are then allocated across.
Pay for it.
Okay, how you wanna pay for it. So, to the person out there on the street, I'm gonna pay the bill. When I'm out there on the street, I'm gonna pay the bill. Whether I pay it through A or I pay it through B, I'm gonna pay the bill. I mean, that number is gonna be what it's gonna be. So, I mean, if I have to raise rates, and I have to raise rates because all of these other items, plus that item, come up to a number that I have to raise rates for,
Renee, that was the
You know?
exact thing that I had written down. I said, is 250 enough?
yeah, because we,
Well,
with
250
him,
is more than enough for Tony. It's not enough for Tony and,
I understand. That's why I said, is it enough? I understand what you did,
right?
but is it enough?
Well, I would say for Tony, I can't get to my email because I don't know why I always have computer problems in here.
okay, let's research that and bring it back.
Okay.
Can we do that?
Mr.
and I know
Mr.
we
Chairman,
I'm sorry, wait a minute, 3 people at once.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that for those of us who have bladder volumes inversely proportional to our age,
I would like to do that.
take a 5-10 minute break.
Director Thomas suggested we get to the end of the page, so if there's no objection, we'll take a 10-minute break. We're adjourned, we're taking a break at, that would be 3:45 for 10. Yep. Okay, we just wrapped up page 5, I believe. And that takes us to page 6, which is the fire department. Do we have any comments on the fire department?
We have already reviewed this fire department
It's already
budget.
been adopted.
Yes,
Pardon?
it has.
It's been adopted.
It's
Yeah,
been-
so I think we ought to go on to page
Okay, well,
8.
sounds good to me. We'll skip 7, go to 8. Page 8 is the tax debt service fund, interest and sinking. I have one question on that particular page. It is at the very bottom there in the lines, it says 533-70035-051, bond principal payment and tax. This year, it's 0,
No, that's year-to-date, 0.
year-to-date. It's through
725,000 is the proposed.
725 as
Oh, we
opposed?
don't pay principal until September 1. We
Okay,
pay interest in March 1st, and then principal and interest in September 1st.
okay, so that's
that's correct.
principal payment. Okay, sounds good, thank you. Any other questions on that page for anyone?
Just out of curiosity, 710 went to 725 because of,
That's just the way the bond schedule is.
You know, when you do a 20-year bond, it's not the same payment every year.
Yeah, it's a different
Sometimes they
interest rate.
go up a little, down a little.
Yeah. Okay. No further questions on that page. We'll go to page 9, which is Revenue Debt Service Fund, INS, for the wastewater treatment plant. And once again, I see there's quite a bit of difference between the 2017 budget and amendment and the proposed 2018. So down in bond interest and bond principal.
I'm sorry.
700.
Which line you're on?
740 and 745. Then go over to compare the proposed versus the budget and the amended.
Debt service expenses.
Yeah. Can you address the difference on those?
Yeah, that seems like it ought to go up, not down.
I can go get the book that has those real quick.
Okay, I mean, if, either that or if you can do it off the,
I can grab it. I don't want to just do it.
okay,
Okay.
okay. While Renee is gone quickly to get that, if there's no objection, well, we're probably gonna do the same thing on 10, let me just a second. That's all gonna be talking with Renee. Let's just hold till she gets back.
Can I ask a question while we're
Sure.
waiting? So I'm the newbie here. It's often been my experience that the water and wastewater industries have long life cycle costs. In this case, we appear to be bonding for kind of a set 20-year period. In my last role, we actually modified the debt policy to try our best to put the term of debt as close as we could to the life cycle of the underlying asset. So for example, a pipeline, you can pretty much expect to get more than 30 years of service. There are not a lot of more than 30-year bonds out there, although there are some. Whereas if you're doing, say, a large meter replacement project, you know, meters, you're probably not going to get more than 15 years out of them. So you
Yes.
want to finance that over something that effectively lets the folks who are benefiting from the issue of the debt pay the debt service costs. Is 20 years just practice, or is there a reason why? I
No,
mean,
it's just, I hate to say this, it's the way we've always done it.
just curious.
There's no better explanation than that. By the way, I like very much the idea of doing it based on the life expectancy of the particular asset.
Yeah.
It's just we've never done it that way.
Okay, Renee?
Okay, the 375 is correct in principle, and I think what happened with this, when Terry was budgeting last year, we had not, funded the SWIFT revenue bond, and she budgeted,
This is wastewater.
I know,
Okay.
but she budgeted both revenue bonds in this one INS fund. Well, when we got the money for the SWIFT, I set up a separate INS fund for just the water.
Gotcha.
So, but when she budgeted, it included both.
So basically what's occurred is you separated it
Yeah,
out?
I separated and added the
moved
revenue
it.
SWIFT sheet.
Okay. Might make a note in the comments, if you could,
Okay.
that's what happened there. That would be good.
That would explain the big difference in
Yeah. Okay, anybody else on Revenue Debt Service Fund? INS wastewater treatment. Okay, next page, page 10. Revenue Debt Service Fund INS for the SWIFT. And so this is new. Okay, I have a question on this one. Once again, on the proposed, which is different than the budgeted and amended for 17, significantly different, as well as the total debt service fund expenses down below, which is different, which carries down from the top.
Yeah, I think I just copied what she had budgeted over because it's the same budget on both of them for 17. So I copied the page from the debt service INS revenue sheet to the SWIFT sheet, and I left the budget and amended the same, and then I broke out the proposed for the new year
Okay,
from the
so,
other.
so would it be, since we've developed a new sheet here, would it be more accurate not to have the budget and amended in there shown?
Well,
and
there
just
is
have
a
it-
budgeted amount for this year, it's just not those amounts.
Yeah, then that would be my point.
So should-
So it's very, you're right, it
Just
is
take
it
them
is a
out?
direct, it's either, it's, we need to be able to pick this up and tell exactly what happened, and the way this sits is I can't, you can't look at it and tell. So it either needs to be a note that explains that those were total budget, or just the fact in the comments that, that it was a new page developed.
That they were not separated in 17.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some sort of comment, so when somebody on the street pulls it up and looks at it and goes, wait a minute, what happened here?
Oh, Renee, would you have the ability to separate it?
Oh, so to get it,
Just,
we didn't have a,
just do a look back and say what it should have been had we done it the right way to start with?
I could do that. I think when y'all actually
That'd be
adopt the
better than I think
budget,
than a
you
note
don't
bill.
adopt these anyway.
when we did when we did the propose, I don't remember, trying to remember exactly in all of the votes that went along with the SWIFT funding and with that particular project, if that was even a budgeted item at that time. I don't recall. Was that a
Well, she
27?
had it in the INS fund for revenue. She did include it because she knew it was coming down.
Okay.
We just didn't know the exact numbers or anything.
Okay, so
You know,
is it
it-
possible for you to break it out and break out the other page so those numbers are
Sure,
correct?
I could correct the tax one revenue and correct it to what really applied to wastewater, and then put what really applies to
That would be good.
the SWIFT. I
That
could
would-
do that.
In my,
Would
in my
it
perspective, that'd
actually
be-
work out to be 375, 375, 375, and then on SWIFT, 215, 215, 215?
Well, there's some interest difference.
Yeah, but I
So
mean,
all
those-
of that, I'll correct it because there will be principal and interest
Okay.
changes.
Okay. Anyone else on page 10? Okay, going to page 11, Debt Reserve Fund.
I have a question on page 11, Renee. Is this actually cash? Is this reserve sitting in a bank account somewhere?
Let me see which page you're on. 'cause I
We
was
have-
doing that. Which
I,
page are
we,
where
we
we at?
gotta head over,
Page 11.
Page 11.
we gotta head over there.
Okay, this reserve fund, yes, physically sits in tax pool in a separate account.
Okay.
So, along with this page, when I looked at the numbers, okay, so we're, if I'm looking at the interfund transfer in water, we were at 64,000, call it 65,000. Proposed 18, we're down to 37, and we paid 118 so far this year.
Yeah, this is the one I said I had coded it all to water and instead of water and wastewater, and I am correcting that in
So this page,
July.
okay, so this page is also gonna be corrected?
Yes,
Okay,
because my year-to-date numbers through July will be correct.
okay. The only other piece of net information that when I look at this page that I would like to have is how much is required and where are we as to meeting that requirement? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, it's just a little bit longer perspective. Any other comments on page 11? Okay, page 12 is the draft FY 2018 budget. And this is, I think, a summary sheet. And I think that this page is probably going to change based on our current activities.
Yes, it will.
So, do I have any questions or comments on that?
I have a very high-level question, Bill.
Okay.
Renee, we've done some talking in the past about where our reserve funds should be and how do we get them to that. I believe there's been feeling, Jim, I think you felt very strongly that we didn't have enough reserve funds. When I look at the ups and downs with the tax rates, what effect would we have if we were to leave our total tax rate flat and we adjust the individual, probably O&M, I suspect, but to generate some of the revenue that we need to go into reserves?
I don't think you can do that with taxes, can you?
I think what you have to do, when you look at taxes, you have to look at, one of the things I know is the effective tax rate and a rollback. And we have to be careful. It's possible for you to say, I want to leave my tax rate the same, your tax rate the same, but because of the increased valuation, you generate more money and you go a certain percentage above what your rollback or your effective tax rate is.
But have we done that calculation?
Not this week.
That's
I
right.
I remember the discussion last year.
Yeah, I'm with you, Bill. I'm just asking the question that we know we have an issue, and is there a way to help to try to close the gap on that issue? It's a very, very broad question.
I honestly do not think you can do that with taxes. Now, we do have, in the current year, we've moved 400,000 from our operating account into the reserve savings account. We opened the savings account with 180,000, so we have $580,000 in that reserve account. I have budgeted an additional 400,000 this year to do the same thing, 200,000 in water, 200,000 in wastewater, to build that reserve up again. So,
Can you at least check with Tony, and I'll tell you why I'm asking. Whether it was proper or not, I have no way of knowing. In history, back in the days of MUDs 2 and 1, we had a year where it rained all summer. We had to dip into our reserves to pay our bills because we just didn't have the water revenue. We raised the tax a penny to build that reserve back up. Only tax raise the MUD, to my knowledge, has ever had increase. And I can show you the day, I can go back and pull the date for you. But we actually raised the taxes 1 penny to pay the reserves back, so would you at least check with him?
Okay.
Okay,
And again, my question is a really, really broad one, which is, I had the math down here, it's, the difference in the reduction is not a whole lot. I mean, it's 0, 0 something, you know, but if
Yeah.
it and I'll make this up. If it generated another $75,000 that could go into reserves and it was legally there and got us there a little quicker, then maybe it's not a bad idea.
okay, anything else on page 12? All right, now we're gonna get into page 13, which is Schedule FDB, rent calculation for the fire station. Have any questions there? And this, do I understand this particular chart that the rent calculation for the fire station will terminate 2031?
Yes, that's correct. So will the bond.
Yeah, it coincides with the bond.
Okay. And yet, no other further questions on 13. Going to page 14, GFA A, which is capital outlays.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Carl on that VACON.
Yes, sir.
What is the item for VACON 391,000? It says 1/2. What does that mean, 1/2?
The way actually that we actually talked with, together, they use half of it and the wastewater use half of it also.
Okay,
And at 50-50 the whole time, so we're gonna actually see if we can actually put 50% me and 50%
Okay.
water. I
gotcha.
don't know if he wants to do that or not, but makes more sense since they actually use half of it.
I just put it in wastewater just because it's housed over there. Carl usually handles the maintenance on it and everything, and just to make it a lot cleaner in our budget rather than splitting it out, have it in wastewater and water, I just put it right under wastewater.
How old is that vehicle?
6, 7 years old. I mean, it's been paid off for over a year, so I would say
I think
probably
we
about six,
paid the last payment in fiscal year 16.
16. So it's probably working on 7 years old. And we used to have a replacement plan. After 5 years, we would replace them.
So,
5 years on that piece of equipment?
Yes.
The
This
other
is the
thing-
first one we've ever kept over that time.
The other thing is all the problems we had with it before.
Wait a minute, one person at a time, please. Go ahead, Jim.
I thought we had a standard replacement policy on everything with 7 years.
I think it was 8 years.
7 or 8, but all vehicles.
No.
It's written,
Vehicles,
it's written under our
we
manual
have
somewhere.
8 years, 80,000 miles.
Right.
The vac truck, usually we did a lease to purchase policy on that piece of equipment. And usually once it was paid off, being how it is a heavily used piece of equipment and they're pretty worn out after 5 years, we would just go trade our old one in and purchase a new one.
This vehicle is worn out?
It's getting on its last legs. I don't think it would last another year. The money we would put into it, it would not be worth it once we went to trade it in.
Now,
Would
which one of you two guys are willing to take the Robert Scott challenge?
Take the what? The Challenger what?
The Robert found that back truck down in Beaumont where they didn't accept delivery of it, and we got almost $100,000 knocked off the price if we'd take it.
Well, my understanding is when they actually got it here, there's also issues to it already. There's always been issues to this thing. It's been a problem from AB from
Okay,
the
so-
beginning.
I would
I-
just
I-
say the trucks that we've had before were a lot better than the Gap Vacs we purchased last
Okay,
time.
so what you,
Tongue in cheek to say we've got to get a deal if we're spending this kind of money.
okay, so I need to understand, on this particular item, you're talking 5 years. When I looked in the research I did, talked about trucks, but only talked about trucks general, so we're probably talking about chassis. I'm seeing 10 to 15 years on them. And here again, that's probably the chassis, not the equipment on the back. So I'm trying to get a feeling for the equipment on the back. Now, you're saying that it's worn out? Do we have, how many miles do we have on the vehicle? How many hours do we have on the back?
And how often
So
is it
the
down for
main
maintenance?
engine runs everything, so it would probably be more of an hour issue.
Okay, how many hours we got on it?
I don't know.
Does it have a hobs?
Like I said, it depends on who's using it. I mean, when we only use half of it and they only use half of it, there's no way to actually tell exactly how much it's actually been used. But the other problem is when I actually had it fixed last time, they said that it's hard to get those parts because they don't send those parts anymore for the gap vac.
Okay, hard to get, meaning they're not in the supply channel?
Correct. And there's nobody in this area now with that. Like I said earlier, if you want it fixed, you have to send it to Oklahoma.
So
Nothing-
we have a supply issue with that particular vehicle.
Correct.
In my understanding, there's still some pretty substantial repairs that need to be done on it right now for safety operation, correct?
Talk to me about the repairs that need to be done for safe operation.
Oh, actually, it's safe right now, in my opinion. You're the one who worked that stuff up.
Okay,
Talk to
so
me.
recently we went and dug up a service line and a saddle and replaced it last week. The high pressure gun, when you release the trigger, it does not stop, which is a big safety issue for me. You know, when you let go of that trigger, that water should stop, otherwise,
Okay, so I'm talking a $100 part.
yeah, probably $200. And this
Okay.
is just from what the guys brought back to me. I know the vacuum switch is broke. I know once you turn the vehicle off at the end of the day and it's got a kill switch on it, you come back the next day, the batteries will not stay charged.
They couldn't find that, though. We had that sent in, and they couldn't figure out why it was doing that.
Okay, well, that's one
So
of the
we have,
issues
so,
with it.
so now we've got a short we're trying to trace.
Yes. I know, I think they said that a lot of the cans or hoses had duct tape on them and that were still leaking. These are just safety issues that my guys brought back to me that I sent out in
So
an email.
I'm trying to figure out here. Do I have a maintenance issue that has occurred on my truck? Or do I have a truck that is worn out? Because I haven't heard any discussion at this point saying the pump doesn't work, which means I need to redo pump seals or anything like that.
We've had several pump issues.
And they've
Okay.
been repaired.
I think at one point we replaced the whole pump
Okay,
at one time, and I'm not sure how it's working now.
They actually had to adjust it to make it work right because they didn't have that pump anymore. They had to actually manufacture something new to make it work correctly.
sounds like you bought an Edsel, boys. Go ahead.
That would be a lemon, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The first night that we had this vehicle out on a main break, the first time it was ever used, we had to get a rep out to come fix it because it was not working properly.
But that was 5 years ago.
Yes. That's how it started out, and it seems like it has just been progressive over the lifespan of this vehicle.
Okay, so the next question I've got is, I've got a price here of $391,000. It says one half. That's only half the price, right?
No,
No,
that's the
I
full price.
removed, I should have taken that one half off.
So that's the full price of the vehicle, $391?
Full
Correct.
price.
And that's still a
I
good
don't
price.
know what that contains.
I'm sorry?
I said I don't know what that entails for the vehicle. I think Carl did all the research for that number.
So tell me what we're talking about.
I actually do a lot of actually look into that, and we looked at GapVac, looked at VanCon, and we also looked at I can't think of the other company now, but we looked at 3 different trucks, and VacCon came out with the best, and we actually put that in there with everything we needed on there for digging and for sucking, for cleaning up stuff. So I actually have everything actually there. And I can just email it to you. That way you have what it is.
Well, my point here is, if you've had a GapVac truck for, what was that, 6 years?
I think
7 years?
Yeah.
And it's not maintenance
Six.
supported? Not in the supply chain? I don't have a happy feeling about that. I mean, personally.
Well, usually we did lease purchase on those, so we would just budget every year for the,
Okay.
amount of payment.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So you're talking about budgeting, doing a lease purchase on it. Purchased a vehicle 7 years ago. We didn't run a depreciation schedule on it. We did nothing into, there's no funds were set aside to replace it. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
I just took care of that,
Asset
though.
management.
We financed something like just shy of 200,000, and I think our trade-in, I wanted to say we got 85,000 out of the last trade-in. So
And
we
we
brought
won't
it
get
up to
that out of this one.
380-something thousand total. So
What's the most cost-effective way to do this? Lease purchase or purchase outright?
Carmen, I think you'd be the best to answer that.
I'm kind of indifferent in the sense it's a capital outlay and you can finance it or you can just pull it out in cash. To some extent, spreading it out over several years. Right now, interest rates are pretty low, and that's not an unviable option.
Okay.
It's almost no different if you do it like that than setting it aside in a capital replacement fund. It's just you'll be making that payment kind of.
Okay.
I agree.
Carl, I still remember the demonstration you guys did out in the front of the building with the other truck. And I remember one of the things that y'all were so excited about at the time was it had the ability to have a remote panel where you could control the boom, without having to be standing up there flipping levers. You could be off to the side. Is this new truck gonna have that similar kind of
Yes.
capability?
I actually have everything right here if you want me to read it all out, what it actually has, but it's got quite a bit of reading. But, yeah, it actually has a lot
You're
of
talking
good stuff.
VACCON, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
It was a safety thing. You could stand off without having to be
Yeah.
right up against the machinery.
Oh, I was familiar. Okay.
So I have an email from one of the local banks back in April, whenever I had requested a quote for the streets that we were considering to do with the town. And I got a quote for 410,000, which is 19,000 more than what we need. But at the time, the interest rate was 2.39, and it was financed for 3 years, and the total payment, principal and interest, was around 140,000 for 3 years. So if we spread it out over 5, like we did the last time, that would bring that down even more. So I would think, I put it as a full price for y'all to decide how you wanted to do it, but to me, making the payments makes sense, because that would free up a lot of money, a lot of expense.
I think so.
And I'm not sure how we purchased the previous one. Did we go out for a note, or did we lease purchase it straight through the company?
No, it was financed through First Financial.
Okay.
And we had a chassis that we bought from one place, and we had a trailer or something that we bought from someplace else. And together, the two purchases together was financed through First Financial.
It was a lease purchase, wasn't it, Renee?
I think so, because I'm pretty sure we expensed it to that rent lease line.
Okay, so if we go to a bank and do a loan through a bank, we can only do a 3-year, if I remember right. Is that right?
I really don't think, I thought we did longer on the gap backs.
I know
Okay.
we used to do it
Okay,
for 5.
so here's going to be my,
There's a
here-
limitation on what we can.
yeah, I think it's 3 years. Okay, so here's going to be my suggestion. I want to give this one to the general manager to look at, or you all can figure out a lease, what type of lease to purchase agreement you can come up with, so that we can adjust.
Just let him come up with
Yeah.
the best financial options.
Yeah, it's to do this over a longer period of time.
Right.
And then stick it in the budget, and next time we come back, we take a look at it.
Yeah.
Okay. On that same one, wastewater,
Mm-hmm.
2 4-wheel drive vehicles.
Yes. like we said a minute ago, the way the policy is, it's either 8 years or so many miles. Right now, the on-call truck is 120,000 miles.
Okay.
Mine's right almost at 100,000. It's 93, I think. And they're well used. They're used very well. The reason why the four-wheel drive is in there is because I guess 2 years ago when the ice came, we had issues with the vehicles actually going anywhere because they would slip. So four-wheel drive is actually easier to actually have when you're actually in the ice, and it's safer. Also, if we need to get in somewhere in the grass or anything, with a four-wheel drive is a lot better. It's not that much more expensive for a four-wheel drive as opposed to a two. It's just, in my opinion, it's just safer.
Are these are replacing vehicles, correct?
Yes, they
And
are.
are the current vehicles four-wheel drive?
No, they're not.
Okay. I had a question about the four-wheel drive
Yes.
because, I mean, I can remember back when I moved in, not a war story, I moved in 24 years ago. The pavement stopped at Harmony Park. The road on out to the wastewater treatment plant was,
Dirt.
sometimes it'd swallow a Volkswagen.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we don't have that anymore.
No, we don't have that there.
I'm inclined, do we have other four-wheel drive vehicles?
Do we have what?
Other four-wheel drive
Yes.
vehicles?
Our crane truck is. Because when it goes to the lift stations, like lift station 7, it actually has to go through the dirt and whatever is
Okay.
over that issue.
Okay.
And it's a lot, like I said earlier, safer to drive.
Okay, tell me why there's a difference in price between the two vehicles, if they're both four-wheel drive.
The one is a two-door for the on-call truck. The other one's mine. And basically the only difference is mine's a four-door. Because whenever I go places, I actually take a lot of people with me, either to training or whatever. So I wanted a four-door truck, and that's why. And the only thing that you don't see on these is both trucks have back cameras. So when you're backing up, you can see things.
I think that's probably standard nowadays.
No,
okay.
I had to beg for it.
Okay. Personally, I'm inclined not to do either four-wheel drive vehicle, personally. But if I'm gonna do one, I'm gonna do the on-call truck, would be my thought.
Okay.
And I don't know where the rest of the board's at. The ice and the snow, I mean, yeah, I understand that, but it doesn't happen, that often. I understand the need that when we need to get there, we need to get there.
Well, we've had to use.
Yeah, I'll tell you real quickly, my thought on four-wheel drive vehicles in Texas. I'm from Colorado. Four-wheel drive vehicles in Texas, the only advantage of them is when you go off the road, you're the first one out of the ditch. Other than that, I mean, if we're not going out in the mud where you really need it, I have a hard time. I have a hard time saying I need them for ice on the streets and Trophy Club.
Well, that's not the only reason either.
Okay.
We actually had to use the one with the four-wheel drive now, the crane truck. We had to actually use that to pull another vehicle because when we were doing the that 24-inch line, that we did over by the creek,
Yeah.
when we actually
Yep.
walked by, all that mud over there, you saw all the the trucks and stuff in there before some actually got stuck.
Yeah.
And for that very reason, since there's stuff actually out there that actually has area we have to drive over mud or whatever, that's why we need that.
Okay. We have, we still have the backhoe, right?
Yes, the brand new one, yeah, and it's
Yeah.
four-wheel drive too.
Yeah. I can pull your truck out with my backhoe if I need to. Okay, so anyway, I don't know what the board wants to do with it, but personally, I don't think we need four-wheel drive vehicles.
What's the price differential?
Actually, there's not a whole lot. I think it's $800 or $1,000 difference. You don't know, or do you know?
I
can
just
actually
know on
give you
new
the number.
vehicles, usually there's about a $4,000 difference between a two-wheel drive and a four-wheel drive. But we do purchase chains also
Yeah,
for the vehicles.
you have additional maintenance costs on a four-wheel drive vehicle. You have additional, just fuel costs, all that type stuff. I personally, I don't see it.
The
for our
four-wheel
operation.
drive is I don't see it on here.
Okay.
I purchased
didn't
my
do it.
truck last year, and the backup camera was an add-on. I had a
Yours is
backup
basic.
camera.
Yours isn't a
And-
basic. This is just
and-
basic.
I had a backup camera. I've got the Bluetooth radio because we're not supposed to be on our cell phones while driving. I paid $23,500 for it.
Okay. And you're not four-wheel drive?
Not two-wheel drive, spray and bed liner, the tow package, everything.
Looking about $3,000 difference between the 4-wheel drive and 2-wheel drive.
See, I don't know what the difference is. I don't know if this is actually it or not. It says here auto locking rear differential, $770. I don't know if that's it or not because it actually looks like it's in here.
That's for the rear end.
That's positive traction.
That's
What did you say it
Mr.
was, Steve?
about $3,000 difference between the two.
I'm sorry, how much?
3,000.
Mr. Chairman, I thought your proposal to let the called truck be four-wheel drive and the superintendent's not seemed reasonable. And we have now exceeded last year's budget hearing length. So maybe we can move on.
Okay. Does the rest of the board concur?
Yeah.
Okay.
Concur with what?
Can I make a comment?
Four-wheel drive, go ahead.
The gap vacs that we have now was financed for 5 years. Loan date was 8/4 of 10, and maturity was 8/4 of 15. So
Okay.
That'll have to go through the.
The other item under wastewater there is the smart, go ahead.
I'm not sure what you asked us to concur with.
Okay, the on-call truck will be four-wheel drive, the superintendent truck will be two-wheel drive.
I personally would like to leave that in our new GM's hands and let him come back and tell us what we need.
That's just what the general.
I think that's just what he said. He just finished saying that.
But yeah, he's second day on the job. Give him a chance to go out there and see the facility and see what
Okay.
these vehicles have got to drive through, and then he
Okay.
can come back and give you a
So
professional input.
when you bring it back,
I will. We'll bring it back with a final recommendation. I think we just have one more meeting, right, before you have to approve this budget.
well, but we can
We can always get.
have them in meetings.
All right. I did grow up in Utah, 40 years plus driving four-wheel drive vehicles. They are a lot of extra maintenance on the other end of the truck, so.
The only other item here that's in the budget is the smart cover manholes, study and install.
What, 50,000? Is that what you're asking about?
Well, no, I'm asking about the need to do it, I think.
Oh, that was that presentation we had the other day
Yes.
with those gentlemen. Personally, I agree doing it because I wanted it done years ago because it actually tells you where your II is, where your issues are, because what water comes in there. To me, we don't necessarily need 10 of them, but we do need some of them. That way you know exactly where your flow comes into and where your issues are. And
Okay.
you know what he forgot to actually talk about the other day is there's actually a lot of metroplexes around here that have those.
Okay, because I got the impression from his presentation it was pretty limited and basically much larger facilities. I don't know whether Fort Worth has anything like that or not.
Fort Worth does. I don't know that they have 10 of them, but they move them around and use them to great advantage. So, I think this is, I watched that presentation today before this meeting. I don't know that we need 10 of them, and I don't know that it's exactly scalable because there's a study piece in that. I didn't really catch that part, but, certainly with 5, you can pin down a fair amount of information and then move to another branch of your collection system. Take a look at that. I&I problems are kind of strange like that. You can have a big one, you just don't really know it until you get in, and
So if we went with 5 and 30,
seems
Think-
reasonable to me. We can bring back a proposal for
Okay.
more if.
okay, would you want to bring that back for 5
I'm
and?
saying 5 and 30 makes sense. If we needed more, we can bring it back in a
Okay.
future year.
Sure.
Okay, so let's go with 5 and 30. Get these. All right, wastewater again. Lift Station 1 relocation engineering. What's going on with Lift Station 1?
I think I can answer that a little bit.
Okay.
One of the contested case hearings for the wastewater plant discharge permit is a person making a claim that we can't access that lift station. And as such are unable to meet our requirements under the collection system because we don't have access to it. The study would just look at a high level at what would be the cost of relocating that. In my discussion with Carl this morning, it sounds like it's about a 30-year-old station. So if we moved it to a place where we had better access to it, it would certainly remove the complaint of that we're seeing in the contested case hearing.
Okay,
Did I get
now that
right?
now that I know where lift station one's at,
It's the one that's on, isn't it the one on the golf course where you can't get to it?
it's
without
down on the
goggles?
end of,
Yeah,
Fresh Meadow.
Fresh Meadow. Yeah, down there in the cul-de-sac, and through the cul-de-sac.
They're right behind her house.
Yeah, out behind the house. So the real, I mean, for $70,000, can I get an easement across somebody's driveway to go around and turn around the corner and go
We
back
already
to?
tried that. We actually talked to,
3 homeowners.
yes,
By the way, one of them has a driveway in place that's absolutely plenty big enough.
and knew.
It won't allow us.
Okay,
They didn't care about money either. They didn't want us on their property.
And the other two buildings, Bill, it's 3 houses in a, like, almost like a cul-de-sac area.
yeah, it is a cul-de-sac.
And we can go through the battle of eminent domain and put an access between two of them, but Lord have mercy, we wiped their fence out, we wiped out about 8 or 10 trees, and, you know, it would be
Okay, so,
be a nightmare.
okay. This is just the beginning. Then as I look at this $70,000, that's engineering. So if engineering's 10%, we're talking about a lift station that's gonna cost me $700,000. If it's 15%, maybe I'm down to $500,000.
Well-
That's, I could buy the property for that.
Well, Kevin didn't give me that number. I think he gave it to Renee. But the thing of it
That's an
was, is it was a survey and a whole bunch of other things that actually connected to that. What I was trying to tell Kevin is there's actually property right across the golf course that's for free, right? Not for free, for sale now. If we could buy that property there and put the other lift station there, that way we don't have to drive across the golf course anymore. And actually, we can actually access it.
Yeah, but you're gonna have to run all the pipes to it. You're gonna have to
Gravity. It has to be gravity through the golf course.
and you're gonna be tearing up the golf course.
Well, that's with the survey, to figure out what we need to do, to how to actually, where we have to put it. If we can actually put it without on the golf course, we could do that. That's why Keevan's doing it this way. He's figuring out where we can put that lift station to where we can access it.
That's under the assumption that the golf course is gonna give us an easement.
I think you're probably better off getting an easement from the golf course to put a road in.
Oh, no, we won't put a road in the golf course.
No, but what I'm saying is, I'm not ready to jump off on the concept of moving that because I can't get an easement.
But the problem of it is that I don't know how that works between the golf course and the mud and stuff. But right now, when I talk to the golf course, I let them know that, hey, I'm driving you're driving across your golf course now, because you drive right through the middle of the golf course to get to that lift station. I mean, completely around it, right through it. And so the problem of it is, if it's muddy or whatever, we have to get in there for that access. We're gonna really screw up. They're gonna tear up their golf course,
Exactly.
because that's what the problem of it is. That's the only way we can access this now, is going through the golf course and tearing it up. So that's why I'm trying to figure out another place to put it elsewhere that doesn't have to worry about that.
Well, ordinarily,
The $7,100 below the 70,000 is for the study for this lift station, for
Yeah,
them
that's-
to look at
this-
it and come back and with recommendations.
The 7,100 is what Kevin gave me. The 70,000 was a number that we had budgeted in the prior year, and I'd left that in there for engineering.
I don't have a problem with the study, but ultimately, I think the correct solution is to work with those people and find it's,
We tried.
when you see the issue, it's like, I need to go down your driveway and make a left-hand turn and go 100 yards maybe. So, I mean, if I have to pay, if you want if I can get an easement that says I can drive down your driveway, I'll never park a truck on it, and I'll replace your driveway to 6 inches thick, and you'll never have a problem with it.
We already told him we'd do that.
Yeah,
We
I
told him
mean-
we'd do that because he was building a brand new driveway, and we told him we'd do this and make it thicker. But the other thing is, if we actually do that, we'd have to use the house on this side. Because if we use the house on this side, there's a creek there, we'd have to put a bridge there too, to get to it. So there's only one way we can actually go is on the right or the left of it.
Because they were in there, they went in there when the town did the project I live on the other, there's a pond. I live on this side of the pond, the waste treatment plant. This lift station's over on this other side of the pond. Well, when they went in there, they had the equipment back in there and worked it all down. It seems to me that, I can't get there. I mean, if the solution is I'm gonna have to move that lift station, you're gonna have to get easements anyway. So, I mean, we need to show that we're making progress, or we're attempting to make progress on the issue. I concur with that. But I certainly am not at the point that I want to fund $70,000 for an engineering study to move it.
I believe the study, which would be a preliminary design, sort of conceptual design, is a 7,100 number. That looks low to me, actually. I don't know, I've heard you mention several times today that sometimes you can just come back and amend the budget. I presume you can do that with capital budgets in this district as well. And if it comes back that, we're gonna be at the hearing in 3 or 4 weeks, where this is one of the bones of contention, so it's not gonna be resolved before then, that's pretty clear.
No.
Perhaps we can move that 7,100 number to, say, 10,000 for the study, and then drop the actual engineering for now. If we need to bring it back in a mid-year as a budget request, perhaps we could do that.
I think that's a good idea.
Good idea.
I like it. So, we go to 10 on the study and scratch the engineering estimate at this point. Okay, do I have anything else on that page?
Just one quick question.
Go ahead.
What is the agenda software?
That is software for Lori to help out with our agenda packets. It's a very extensive, long process for her right now. I believe we used to have software in the past.
She's Legistar, the same thing the town did. And then we went to, now I do it in Word, and then I convert it into PDF, and then I take it back to Word and add the pages of attachments, and then I convert it back to a PDF, and then I link each item. And that's why a lot of times you'll get it very late at night. So, we're gonna add it again. We've tried to add it a few times, and then we need the money elsewhere.
Does that fix your problem?
I hope so. Mike just did that for me. Thanks, Mike.
But have you had a chance to look at it and evaluate it?
I have not had a chance to look at software. We've been very busy, and so, I mean, I am gonna do that, but I'm sure that should I would think that would cover the cost.
And that would be one that, in my opinion, if funding was available, we could do it before we got to the budget, but.
Yeah, absolutely would like to do that, but we also want to make sure it fixes your problem.
Yeah,
Well, you should fix coffee.
okay. Yeah, so I mean, if that's something that we can solve short-term rather than wait until October,
It's busy
Yeah.
time.
yeah, I don't want to kill my staff.
Be the first
Okay.
of the year.
Anything else on capital outlays? Okay. Page 15, GFB1, tax debt payments. Anything there? No. Page 16, GFB2, revenue debt payments. Anything there? Nothing heard. Page 16. Okay, we're on 17. GFC, projected water use, go ahead.
Yeah, just a simple, hey, Mike, how did you project the 46, 44 connections?
I need to double check that.
I'm sorry?
I need to double check that. I think I put that number, Stephen,
Yeah,
and I
and
put that number.
what was triggering that was, Mike, I can't remember the last number you gave me a couple months ago, but I thought it was like 4,100 and something, but the town's only got 90 more to go, and we got a few more, so I was just curious as to how we got to 46, 44.
I think right now when I load meters, I think we're up almost about 4,700, 4,680, somewhere there currently right now.
Oh, okay, so we're already beyond it?
I think we're already beyond
Okay,
that number.
all right.
That does include some with 2 meters, one for irrigation, one for potable. So that's a total meter count?
Total meter count.
Is there much of a percentage of the residentials that have both an irrigation meter and a potable meter?
Not a lot.
So not more than, say, 5%? Or
No, I doubt there's 5%. I know we've looked at that before. I want to say there's maybe around a dozen homes
so
that,
not a lot.
not a lot.
Key figure there, Bill, is saying the average is 46, 69.
On October 1st, 2016, according to the utility billing report, the number of connections were 3,208 in the MUD and 1,436 in the PID. And then in June, the total was 4,685 at the end of June. I don't have July's numbers yet.
I do.
I have July's numbers.
Okay.
Nick has them.
You have 'em? Did you pull it up?
But that-
I think the number that's gonna be important is what do we have today and what do we think we're gonna have by the end of the year?
Yeah.
So the connections, for,
And we projected 47 new meters coming in.
currently we have 4690 for July. There's 33,247 in the MUD and 1,443 in the PID. Which equals 4,690 meters. Connections.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else on, the only other thing I'd like to point out on that particular page is the 3.90% increase in cost from Fort Worth, rate of use charge. Anything else on page 17? Going to page 18.
Who knows?
Yeah, the only thing on page 18, yeah, the small.
That's the magnifying glass.
Yeah, if you can find it again, but it says, there's a growth rate recommended, revenue for shut-offs, total something, and, it's an eye test, revenue for mud tap fees. It says a growth rate of 0.5%. I don't know that that's realistic. I'm not sure that growth rate, when you're doing charging shut-off fees and that type stuff and forecasting an increase of that, I'm not sure that, other than the fact we increased the amount of the fee, whether that 0.5% is a good number. Or whether it should just be zero,
Half of one.
Just leave it
half
at
of
0.
1%. I would personally do it at 0. I wouldn't,
The point is, by raising it to 50, hopefully that would reduce the late pays because of the fee.
well, we already increased the fee.
I know, but because we increased it, maybe
should decrease
the
it.
people will pay their bill to keep from getting that.
And so therefore, the growth rate should be 0,
Okay.
would be my thought,
Yellow.
if you're effective in what you've done.
You don't want more disconnects to happen.
Yeah. Okay, anything else on page 18? I've heard page 19. Sewer estimates, still in process. That's the distribution of cost side of the equation. And long story short is the volumetric number that we'll use on that, we have already established for this budget cycle. We won't have a new volumetric number until next April. Page 20. Anything there?
No,
This is the one we change your shirts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, change my shirts,
700 for that.
okay?
Yeah, we've already talked about
Page 21 is travel and training. I picked up one thing is the advanced technology MBR classes. You've got 7 attending that in wastewater, so everybody, all the employees are going to that class?
I apologize. Where are we at?
We're on page 21, GFG.
Second line on wastewater.
Advanced Technology MBR classes says number of 10-7.
Yes.
Are you sending yourself and your entire staff to that class?
At one time, yes, they all need to go to that class. We're doing a little bit of training right now with the MBR stuff, but unfortunately, the training that we're getting, in my opinion, is not what we really need because Kubota is giving us some, but we're not actually really learning what we need to do to run this thing correctly, in my opinion. So we need to go to MBRs to actually train everyone, because right now we've always done water and wastewater, not actually MBR, because it's a different way of training. It's technology that's different.
Where do you go to get the training?
They're actually, the one I've been looking for, they're all around the Metroplex. No,
Oh.
excuse me, that is not correct. All around Texas. The ones I've seen before in San Antonio, Austin, I saw one in Corpus Christi. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot right here in Dallas, Fort Worth area. When they get here, then we'll come to the one that's closest. It's just whenever we can get them,
Okay.
because you can't
Because if
actually
you have
run.
to, if you have to travel to Corpus Christi and take the crew with you,
Oh, no. We won't do it that way. I'll be getting people 2 at a time to go. This month there'll be 2, next month there'll be 2, whenever the class is there.
Okay.
This year has been easy because I've been seeing a lot of free classes they've been sending them to.
okay,
But it's just whenever I can find them.
okay, thank you.
Is there a particular group that is doing this training
Just the wastewater guys, actually. Just right now I had
out of Texas Water?
Texas Water, yes, they
I'm
have it.
just wondering who's sponsoring the actual who's the trainer work for?
Oh, okay.
Do you know?
No, I don't actually.
All right, I'm just curious. Sometimes if you have that big of a group, you can bring them here.
Yeah. that'd be good.
That'd be a great idea.
That'd be nice. That'd be a lot easier for us to actually use our stuff to train. Okay,
Good idea.
thank you.
The last thing I've got on that page is miscellaneous travel legal.
Yes.
That's under admin.
Oh,
Last item.
Last item.
That would be, that's Tony's travel. to
Yeah,
the
I
meeting
think that's if he
special-
goes, because we have had attorneys go to like AWBD.
No, we don't
I
pay for
think
that.
Bill took that out.
Oh, okay.
I would guess
I
that,
have not invited them for
I
probably
would
3
guess there's
years.
gonna be some travel to the contested case hearing in Austin.
If that's where it's at. Well, he lives in Austin.
But he'll
He
put
is in
that-
I
Austin.
think there'll be
He'll
some
have
staff
expenses.
members there. I
You don't
would
think it
not
needs to
expect
be
our
here?
I don't
attorney to
think
handle
it's
that
legal.
on his own.
Not the other
Gotcha.
one with the-
Gotcha. Okay, we're square.
But that's not administrative, that would go under legal, I think that
Well,
is.
we're looking at,
Just remove
That
that.
travel, that
Just
travel covers us as well.
change
yeah,
it to 0.
no,
No,
Nope.
plan of labor,
No, no.
that's it.
because there will be some directors that are going down probably for the contested case.
Legal.
Okay, I'll just take legal off
Okay,
and leave it as miscellaneous travel.
okay,
And
'Cause
just
we're
leave
under
the
the admin.
amount, okay? Just leave the amount?
yeah.
All right.
I hate to go down there and spend a lot of time, but anyway, so that takes care of page 21 for anyone. Page 22. Any questions?
Well, we're going to have to work on how we're gonna do this one too for the general manager.
Okay,
That's something that we,
Right,
towards the end,
yeah,
we didn't get all the answers to the end, so now we gotta figure out how to rework this and
right.
redo this right.
I do have yellow on my page at that
That will be
section.
corrected and brought back.
Okay. So that takes care of 22. Page 23. Any questions? That is dental benefits worksheet, vision and medical. Schedule 24, GFJ, retirement worksheet. Any questions? No comments. Page 25 is Schedule K, electricity, gas analysis for 2017 and 2018. My only comment on this entire page is, I think this is one of those cost items I think we're going to be talking about in September.
Yes,
We really need to get a good wrap on our electricity costs.
yes.
That is a big item. Page 26 is information technology, and we've discussed that about, my questions about what changed. Okay, anything else on 26?
Yes, can I say
Sure.
something? I just want to note one more time, I know that the board has voted this down, but it might be, and maybe we talk about it in an amendment. However, the board laptops are pretty much, it's a struggle. It is a struggle for me to get them loaded. None of them, I mean, anyway, they're in bad shape. So I don't know if, we just keep it in the back of your head. So someday, just keep it in the back of your head.
That would be the IT hardware.
Right, and we
Line
don't need
item.
to get expensive ones, but I'm just letting you know that. To Jim Hayes, I don't think it matters so much. He doesn't mind having paper usually.
No, I'm paper person.
I know, but,
After May,
yeah, something, it's just, I just want you to have that in the back of your head.
okay.
Help me here. I mean, you put the agenda on a stick and you plug the stick in the side of the machine. What prevents it
In the
from?
memory, that they're so old that things are wearing out in them. They were cheap, really cheap, bad computers to begin with. And so they have to update continuously.
Oh, it's the update stuff.
And they don't hold a charge. When I load them, sometimes in between, they shut off, and so stuff doesn't load right. And so remember, there's been times where your packet doesn't look right, and there's just issues like that. They're just very cheap. They've been valued at zero, just so you know.
Let me ask this question. Well, I guess they're a low-cost item in the big scope of things, so there was probably not any depreciation budgeting going forward for replacement.
No, because
Okay.
when I asked previously about, when I wanted them declared salvage, and I asked Bob what he thought he could get for them, and he said nothing.
Yeah, okay. All right, so that's page 26. Page 27, information technology, there we are on that page. How many total computers do you have?
I don't know what the number is. Do you have that? I don't have that available. I can try to pull something
Okay,
up.
that's okay, don't do it now. Next time we do the budget, would you bring me back a number for replacements?
Yeah, we'll have an IT update at some
Okay.
point here for you.
Okay.
Because we have a schedule of replacement.
Oh, you want this? Yes, that's what's supposed to go under this hardware here. I got it on my desk. I've got it wrote down on the sheet.
Okay,
It is,
next meeting on the budget.
Yeah.
Next meeting on the budget, just fill it in there. Okay, on page 27 is schedule GFL, information technology. Any comments? Nothing heard. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the discussion of the budget.
Awesome.
Mr. Carmen.
One quick note, I know it was suggested earlier that we bring back a reserve policy discussion in August. I think that's too early. We had a discussion today at the staff meeting talking about the whole host of things that go with that.
Okay,
For one, I want to learn and make sure I understand what we're doing with Gatsby 34 funds and the allocations within that fund to different purposes. But then, as we discussed when I first met you all here a few weeks ago, the general reserve is important for other purposes. It's a self-insurance fund. I don't really understand yet what our insurance policy covers and doesn't cover. I'm assuming we have an insurance policy.
yes.
But I'm not familiar yet with the ins and outs of that. So if we could have a little extra time before
Okay.
we bring that back, I do think there's ways to go about it. In my last stop, we started budgeting regularly for a contribution to reserves. So you can call that a contingency fund if you want. If you have revenue that underwhelms your expenses, you can say, well, I'm not going to make that contribution this year. But ultimately, you can have a plan over time to get to what your target is. Trying to define what the target is maybe a little more challenging. But there's certainly a whole host of low probability, high risk sort of things that can happen. And then there's the things that are probably at the other end of the scale. And I've been around long enough to have seen a few of them. It can be pretty disastrous. And surprisingly, there are some other insurance policies out there that our industry often has not looked at, like machinery and boiler insurance policies actually cover a lot of really expensive to replace plant equipment. But you have to get the people that actually understand the insurance side in the same room with the people that are budgeting and I mean, it's not an area of expertise for the folks in our industry. That's what I learned last time around. Policies are pretty inexpensive. They come in and do things like, vibration failure analysis for you. We think that one's going to go, and
Oh, okay, good.
that kind of stuff. So, as a part of, their own effort to do loss prevention, they bring in some expertise on those types of issues.
Yeah, vibration analysis on those blower motors could be a big thing.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
and all the pumps. Really.
Yeah. And yet, as we're talking reserves, one of the things that we don't have that I'd like to see implemented, and this is just me, is we don't have a seasonal reserve. And I think that's something that we need to be looking at.
When you say seasonal, you mean like wet or dry years?
Exactly.
Okay.
It's, I've heard it referred, I've heard it called a seasonal reserve to cover wet years when you don't have the income.
I've called it an anti-rainy day fund.
Yeah, that's whatever, okay.
What the general reserve primarily was designed to do.
Yeah,
Take
okay.
care of rainy years. But it's also been useful for, like,
Yeah.
we paid Mud Two's half of the fire station out of Mud One's cash reserves.
Yeah.
And then
I'm looking to designate things, so when somebody says, oh, you've got all these dollars, I say, no, I don't. I say, what you see is really what you see, but you have to understand that that's a seasonal reserve, and this is for a pump failure, and I can't use my pump failure fund for my seasonal reserve in the same year, so I've really got to have them both. So it's,
yeah,
They're-
to break down the purpose of the reserve is a good idea.
Yeah.
I think the allowing Carmen to come back in later on the insurance side of it, we do have to decide for budgetary purposes whether we're gonna stick with the 400,000 contribution to reserves in 2018 in time to finalize the tax rates. So, I think it's around late September 20th or something like that. We have to formally
yes,
publicize the rates in the newspaper. So that's kind of the drop dead date. You gotta get everything done before then. And there's a whole process you have to go through there, but I'd say the insurance thing sounds promising. And I'd love to hear that, but we do have to make a decision on this 400, whether it should be 400 or more or less or whatever.
Jim, you had something?
Carmen, I would like to request that you at least take a look at something from the standpoint of how might it potentially affect us. We had a large limb off of a tree on the Corps of Engineers property, dead tree, fall off and crack a sewer pipe going across the creek. It leaked into the creek. Long story short, $250,000 later, I guess, we had it fixed. We paid a fine to the TCEQ. At one point in time, we put 2 steel girders across the thing to protect it, but I am very uncomfortable. The Corps has refused to address that tree, and that sucker's huge, and it's on the side of a creek that's eroded, and I'm scared to death if that sucker would have come down and land on what we've put, it'll take it all out. Would you please at least look and see if we have got the right protection? If not, we got a budget for it. Or worst case, try to reopen that door with the Corps and see if they'll take that tree down.
I'll do that.
Okay.
Carl, can you drive me there without a four-wheel drive?
Actually, no, I won't.
You can walk down to it.
But
You can walk
I mean,
down.
that thing, if that
Okay.
thing were to fall and take that pipe out, just kiss it goodbye.
Okay,
with all the rain, it's actually wearing it out worse than it was before.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
root system's exposed.
okay, so let's go around. Any last comments or inputs from the staff on the budget?
Just so you know that when I was trying to explain that about the.
Carl, pull your mic down.
Oh, my bad.
About that training. It's also about the NBR and also about them getting their renewal of their license, because some of the NBRs don't actually cover that part of it. So it's
Okay.
going to be 2 different kind of training.
Licensing,
Yes, sir.
Okay, got
That's
it.
all I had.
Okay. Mike?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Jim?
No.
Carmen? Nope. Jim? Anything else?
When we break, I'd love to see those posts on the other side of the fence if you have time.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Renee?
For the potential new VACON truck, do you want me to contact local banks to see about rates and payments for for a revenue revenue note?
I think the GM
Renee, I
is
think
correct.
I think that,
Can define
We
it.
asked Carmen to
Okay.
come
Yeah.
back with also,
Yeah.
he'll tell you what he wants you to do.
We'll work together.
Stephen?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Lori?
That-
All right. And no further comments? Stand open for a motion to adjourn.
Also moved.
All in favor? Thank you, folks. We are adjourned at 5:14.